you ready for it? I'm a real tough kid, I can handle my shit. They said fake it, gotta fake it till you make it, and I did.
I'm just a terrible person, I guess.
Lights, camera, bitch. Even when you wanna die. Breaking down, I hit the floor. All the pieces of me shattered as the crowd was chanting more. With a broken heart.
Who's afraid of little old me?
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I am Sarah the Raging Tomato here, bringing to you yet another live for Thursday Throwdown. You know, I love Thursday Throwdowns because I get to get in, the gloves are off, I'm not modding, I'm just hosting and, letting people kind of do their own thing. But also I get to play too. And I really like it because there's so many arguments that I myself have that I can't necessarily say or state whenever I'm, listening to other people argue, or debate or so on and so forth. So this is just kind of I'm really falling in love with the Throwdown Thursdays. It's really kind of becoming more fun for me because I get way more involved. And I get to play too. It's just kind of fun. But I recently watched I had to watch it on the replay, but I recently watched Andrew Wilson and Gary, the numbers guy, some kind of dude that does numerology type weird stuff or something. And it's just the same stupid personal argument attack thing that has nothing to do with the actual argument in and of itself. But the personal attacks, it kills me every time that people shoot for this, and it's just like, God, when are we ever going to get over decisions that people make for their own lives, their own spouse, their own children? Like, when are we going to let that go? Why do we feel so freaking inclined to insert ourselves in other people's personal lives? Doesn't make any sense to me. So we're going to go over that tonight, but in the midst of it, we will do open panel. I'll probably open it a little sooner than later, just because it is just me this evening. I wanted to, I did offer somebody else a spot here because I've heard them kind of make these similar arguments. They never got back to me. It's always the weirdos that never get back to me. But in any event, I really would love to dive into this with everybody on panel, but I just want a little bit of time to myself. We're going to review a short bit of that debate, so I can really elaborate on what I'm talking about. But let's do roll call real quick, see who's all here. Steelman coming in bright and early this afternoon. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. God, that's beautiful. I love that. And cheers to you all. This Saturday night, instead of doing a sip and stream, I will be hosting a debate between Team Fatty and I Killed Earl. We all remember those two a couple Thursdays ago. Really got into it on the Red Pill talking point, and because of that, that has turned into a debate now. So since I'm hosting a debate Saturday night, I will not be doing a sip and stream. So cheers to you all. This is my evening for my 2 beverage quota for the week. So cheers. And Locksmith Jeremy, of course, coming in, sending some love. Hello to you, Locksmith. Warranteen DLZ says, so what's the topic tonight? Well, I did just elaborate on that, so hopefully you were here to hear it. Pumping vinyl. What happened to Based Oracle? I don't know. Somebody mentioned in my Discord, like asked me where he went, and I don't know. I went to look at his channel and it is gone. Not my monkey, not my circus, but either way, you know, it is what it is. He's gone. Maybe he'll resurface on a different channel name or something. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I haven't been paying attention to his show. I don't know if anything's going down over there or whatever the case is, but either way, you know, people, that's the great thing about the internet is you can come and go as you please. Isn't it beautiful? Like Rachel's Ghost did that. She left. And then followed by recently Based Oracle. I'm kind of almost wanting to put money on Mel Pandora on whether she will leave the internet for a while. Her social credit is kind of going down the toilet right now, and it's sad because you know you don't want that to happen to anybody, quite honestly. But as you're watching something like that happen, it's almost like you're just like, dear God, I hope I don't do anything like that. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to Mel Pandora, but she's not sitting in a pretty place right now. And Lindsay Smith, hello to you, Lindsay. I would be inclined to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah, and if you missed it, Flow State was giving away some money last night on his show. He had a little lottery going on, and I believe he's going to do another one. So if you're not already subscribed over at Flow State, you better get over there, turn on the notification bell, and keep your eyes pierced for another giveaway. Because that was actually pretty fun. It held everybody's attention. It was really interesting. So yeah. And Anson Knowles, it's either this or a discussion on creeps caught creeping. I'm not really in the mood to listen to a stream about me, but it seems like this one is about me also. No, it's not about you unless you feel like there's something you're guilty. I don't know. What did you do? Did you do something on another stream? I don't know if I would like openly admit to guilt of something you haven't even watched yet. Super low viewers and comments on the lives, like something isn't working right on YouTube. I mean, algorithms can be funny. We've had some slow nights here. It happens. You gotta just kind of power through it and get excited when your numbers are high. You know, so I don't know what if that's referring to. Oh, you feel like the lives tonight aren't working right. I mean, our numbers are okay right now. I never really have complaints. It's very rare you'll hear me complain. I like to be funny sometimes about it, but overall, it's I don't complain too often. I'm very excited when people show up. I'm excited anybody even wants to hear me talk. So you're here, I'm here, and we're going to entertain each other. It's going to be fun. HP Nubcraft, welcome back, my friend. Nice to see you back again. Carney's Ride, good evening to you. Mike Ball, I think actually I heard something the other night that Grid said you were a good mod to have. And so congratulations, you are now officially a moderator. Mike Ball, treat it well. The rules of modding are in our Discord. I will get you modded up in there as well so that you can see that tab. But overall, as long as it's not beyond, like if it's hitting TOS, we take it away, give them a little warning, let them know like, hey, don't be stupid. If they argue with the wrenches, have at it, have some fun, because you don't argue with my wrenches over here, right? But overall, we're okay with everything as long as it minds TOS. If it's a word or phrase or something that can trigger bad things for me, for the channel, for the platform, for your playground here, remember, this is your show, guys. If you mess it up, we all go down. So mind that. And with that being said, you know, Watch the other wrenches. You'll see. But overall, we don't have to do a whole lot over here. Damoose 1829, welcome, my friend. I don't think I've seen you yet before, but welcome. Hi, Romano. Romano is just a joy to have. We are Romano. Please go ahead and drop a link to your channel. He is almost at 1,000, ladies and gentlemen. He keeps me updated on his movement, and I swear we're gonna have a party when he hits it, and I can't wait. He is our panel Power Ranger. If you recall, if you've been here, he does a lot of. He actually creates videos with of the Power Ranger skits. He does his own props, his own writing, his everything. It's excellent talent, excellent work. I'm really excited for him, and I can't wait to see him hit that 1K and keep on moving, baby. We're all going together. We're all going together. So go ahead and drop your link. And if you're a 90s kid, you'll have a very big appreciation for Romano. ASMR intro. Woohoo. All right. Who else is here? Chaos Queen. Hello to you, my love. Welcome back. Grid 1. Hi to you. What is foos? Sup foos? Big Rakes Janch. That's what I'm going to call you from now on. Big Rake. Big Jake's Ranch says it's kind of true to an extent. I can understand getting into a serious relationship with a single parent if you have a kid yourself. Otherwise, you're kind of getting cut. All right, we'll talk about that. Don't worry. I feel the statement. I understand the statement. But I still have some thoughts here. Okay. Hi, Chuck. Peace to you, my friend. NPC The Game, who hosted this 2024 Panel Verse Awards. If you haven't checked out NPC, if somebody could go ahead and drop his link, a bunch of us content creators in the Panelverse won a crap ton of awards. It was super fun. We all had a really great time. Please feel free to subscribe. If somebody could drop NPC's channel for me. This way you don't miss the 2025 awards. Good conversation. I'm reheated leftover. Fair enough. Reheated leftovers. Hey, if you own it. Hi, Mr. Blackstar. How are you? Welcome back. Seagull Rock Squawk. Michael Jordan's son arrested. Drunk. Oh my gosh. Terrible. Mr. Blackstar's kicking us off on a good note already with the big one. Thank you so much for the super sticker. That's very kind of you. James S., good evening to you as well. I bet you are. Because social shame works. You know, it's unfortunate for him because I felt like he came in and he went trying to punch at somebody that has already been in the space, worked very hard to get to where they are, and he just came in and expected to be able to come in and slam that down and walk away with the clout. And unfortunately in this space, that's not how it works. We appreciate hard work here. We don't mind it if people ride coattails, right? I know I ride people's coattails, and I know there's people that ride mine, and I gladly push that, right? We're all going to move together. But if you come in trying to tear down somebody who has established his name very well with the credibility, you're not going to bode well. And it was kind of a amateur move. So yeah, the social shame definitely kicked in, and once the heat died down, so did all of the clicks and views. Oh yeah, just ran through. Hi, Ticky Tack. I know you'll probably want a piece of this conversation, actually. John Deadman, hello to you. Jess Gerald, how are you this evening? What say Lou? Yes, she was a winner over at Flow States as well as Steelman and Diamond. I forget the rest of her name, but her name was Diamond something. And then the fourth person was Jeremy. Not locksmith Jeremy, but another Jeremy, I think. Hello, BC. Hi to you. Who else is in here? Duke Rabukum. I like that name. Rebukem. Gary should have been corrected as a young man. Yeah, probably too much talking, not enough walking. Ghost 1978. Welcome back. Primal Studies, where have you been? Where on earth have you been, sir? I expect to see you on this panel. No ifs. I don't even care if you know anything about the topic. I don't even care if you just sit here and look pretty. You're getting your butt on this panel tonight. I've missed you. You've been gone. Or at least you haven't been here. It's not acceptable. And Wrongful Rage also kicking us off with the Big 10. Flow State gave away my money. LOL. I hope the winners are happy. Hope it helps and makes people happy. You know, Wrongful, you actually are just a very kind person. I love the funny things you say all the time, but your kindness has extended in a lot of ways that I don't know if you understand how far it goes, because when you help us, we are able to help others. And I know that's not going to make any sense necessarily, but it does. So thank you for your generosity and allowing people like Flow State and I to kind of give back in the ways that we're able to do so. So thank you. I'm pretty sure you are officially the funder of Furby's, the places the charities we donate to. I'm pretty sure you have fully funded that. So thank you. It always goes to a good cause. Oh, and speak of the devil, here's Melanie. Hello to you. I'd like to be run through. Please run through me. IFBB Pro Marte Rules. I look forward to tangling with opposition here, Sarah. Oh, Rachel Wilson actually passed your name on to me and mentioned that you were new to the debate world. And I don't know if she passed on the message. I'm assuming she did, which is probably why you're here. But, you know, for our newbies, we like for them to join the open panels first. That lets me kind of gauge your level of a lot of different levels, okay, that I'm looking at. But it also kind of makes people earn their place here. We welcome new panelists always and forever. I'm all about supporting smaller channels, especially, or people new and upcoming. And I want to be the person that pushes the upcoming into something bigger than me. So we all support it, but we all have to earn our time. So you're most welcome when we open the panel up. I'd love to have you on. Love to hear your thoughts. Hi, Michael. And everybody, please give IFBB a warm welcome. Let's tomatoes in the chat, please, for a kind reference, referral from Rachel. That was very kind of her to do so. Hater Cell. Yep. Oh, yeah. See, you told. Yep. We got you. Gary Baxter, hello to you. God, there's so many of you. I'm not going to get through all of this. Jessica B, hello to you. Any other newcomers? I love saying hello to all of you. I don't always get to do it. So when I do have a moment to do it, I want to do it. Wicked Wally, I saw the topic and I feel summoned. Oh, Grid. Okay, you know what? Let's have Grid come be our guest for the evening. I'll send you the link directly, Grid. You can come hang out with me. Since you are always very kind and you invite me onto yours, and you show up here quite often, I think you deserve a highlight. Let's get you highlighted, Grid. So I'm going to shoot you the link and you come have some fun with me. And then not long from now, we will invite everyone else. Okay, so stick around, Grid, check your messages. It's in there. All right, Adam 87. I mean, probably every girl, right? Hi, Dad. Hello to you. Hi, Grid.
Hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Say hello to my father.
Hello, father.
I'm not a stepdad cuck, whatever a cuck is. Don't worry, Dad. You are not in this category at all. You are a wonderful father. Hello, Weirdo John, to you and Jess and David Ellis. Oh, I'm glad you love it here. And Save Your Hearts. And I think I got them all. How have you been, Grid?
Busy, a little busy here and there. Not too bad.
I noticed you were wearing the jacket today on your stream. I thought that was very professional looking.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you taking it up a notch? Making
You know, I go through phases. I really don't ever actually get like I don't wear like trashy clothes normally because I work in trashy clothes all the time. So it's like,
yeah.
you know, when I when I'm going out or doing something, you know, it'll be a collared shirt, it'll be a polo, it'll be something, or a nice t-shirt. I'm not. I know I seem like I'm the type of person that just rolls up in jeans and a torn, ripped up t-shirt, but no, I work
You
in that.
actually don't. If I could pin you, it would actually be polo and khakis.
Yeah, it used to be. Yeah, yeah, it used to be that way. Not as much anymore, you know. It's but it's fine, you know. We go through changes in life, right? We all
Yeah.
we have things that we
I wear a lot of sweatpants.
Yeah, that seems to be like a uniform these days for many people.
Sweatpants? Oh yeah. High schoolers? I don't think they wear anything else, actually.
Yeah, something going on there. We go.
Yeah, when I went to like my daughter's high school, everybody just wears sweatpants and hoodies.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. Or leggings, but it's rare you'll see jeans or khakis or anything like that. It's quite strange. But
sweatpants are different. You know, they're kind of making a comeback. My understanding.
Sweatpants?
Yeah.
I hope so.
People actually wear them like out.
Oh yeah, no, they totally do. I do. I do actually put a cap on my sweatpant wearing. Like if I'm running up to the gas station or something like that, I'm okay with it. But if I'm like going to dinner, you know, I have my limits. Like you can only be so trashy. All right. So what are your thoughts, Grid? Let's start off with your thoughts on stepdads and single moms. Where do you stand on those?
So you know, I don't know if you know this, but I had a stepdad.
Oh yeah, I do know that actually.
Yeah. And I didn't actually know that until I was probably like 8 or 9. Which I, you know, some people probably find it weird, but it just seemed to be like it just never really came up. And you know, it wasn't, you know, this is back in the dark ages when people just didn't really like focus on that kind of thing. You know, it was just like, as long as you've got a dad that's paying for the, you know, paying the bills and getting things done. I mean, really, what more do you want? Right. And so, so that kind of, you know, that kind of thing, you know, was just sort of what's right. What's the word I'm looking for? It was just, it just didn't stand out. Like I didn't feel like I was a good person, bad person, none of that. It just was. And so, when I think of stepdads, I don't have that same kind of negative aesthetic I think that other people might have, right? Like it's not the end of the, you know, I don't think that they're cucks. A matter of fact, to be honest with you, I think realistically, I think that there's a lot to be said for, you know, a man that's willing to raise kids that aren't his, knowing, you know, that enters into it knowingly. Now, if you're tricked into it, that's differently.
Right.
But you know, if you know, a man that's willing to take on that amount of responsibility is, I mean, that's pretty gangster, really. You know, that's like legit.
I love you, Grit. I just love you so much.
I don't.
It's powerful. I really do. I think it's powerful for like a man who's willing to do something like that. You know, and I think that because inevitably there's a father out there who's not taking on their responsibility. Sure. You know, whereas there's a stepdad who's willing to take it on without even blinking an eye. And
Right.
people they're shaming the stepdads and telling them they're cucks when it's like, well, why aren't you shaming the piece of shit who isn't taking care of that kid?
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. I mean, that's a real thing.
Yeah, or do they get a pass? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, I think that, you know, there's you know, so I think of it as like the purity tour, right? It's like all of these guys, all of a sudden, people have suddenly decided that, you know, if you've ever fucked up in your life, then you're just ruined and you're not worth even talking to.
Right.
And that's bullshit, you know. Like I'm pretty clear, pretty open that I was a massive degenerate for a large portion of my life. Right? Like no shit. Like I, you know, I always want to make that clear because I get it feels like a lot of times I get a pass for that because I'm a guy. Whereas a girl who did the same thing, it's never forgotten, and that's really not. It's not the way things should be. But the reality is that I'm very honest, and I'll tell people that, you know, I just woke up one day and decided that I was going to be somebody different, right? And I was, from that moment on. I never looked back. I never tripped up. I never went back to the old behavior. None of that shit.
Yeah, but your behaviors have to match your words too, right? So as long as
I didn't tell anybody, right? It wasn't like
right.
This is the other thing. I think that when people go to their and you go to all their whole friend group and guys, I've had a revelation. I'm a bad person and I'm changing. I need your help. Please help me. Help me, guys. It's going to be tough. But with your help, I can do it. That's bullshit. I don't like that. That's literally giving yourself an out. That's literally just buying yourself an out so that when you don't do it, when you can't do it on your own, you can say, well, you know, my friends weren't really there for me.
You can ask for accountability partners out of friends. Like, hey, listen, let's say quitting smoking. I'm quitting smoking. I'm doing this. It's happening. I've already quit. Like, it's been 3 days. I just want to be able to like check in with you if I want a cigarette or something, and you just remind me I'm stupid, right? You know, I think you could have an accountability, but just like an accountability partner for the gym and things like that, because we are human and we can't do everything by ourselves.
Sure.
But if you're just going to say, I'm just going to do this, and then you don't have actions that follow, then you are kind of stupid. But yeah. And so I just, you know, in my case, I just did it. So my stepdad, he was not ready to be a dad. I'll be honest with you. He was not a good dad. He, you know, I will not paint this picture all bright and rosy. You know, my stepdad fucked up a lot as a dad, like a lot. He got a little bit right, but mostly he fucked up. But the thing is he did his best that he could with what he had, right? We were really poor. It's very hard to be the kind of dad that you want to be when you literally are worried about keeping the lights turned on, right? It's very difficult to be the man that you want to be in your family when literally you're going to parents and grandparents to borrow money from to keep the water turned on or whatever it was, you know. Right.
I gloss over none of this because it's important for people to realize that life sucks. Wear a helmet, move on.
Yeah.
And it's and so the fact that he stayed, right? Because he could have bailed. You understand? Like he could have just said, you know what?
Been a bachelor and would have been significantly cheaper.
He could have gone out and gotten his 64.5 fastback Mustang and driven down the road, and we never would have seen him again. But instead, he sold the 64.5 fastback Mustang to provide for his family.
Aww.
And so, you know, and later in life, he became the dad that he always knew that he was. He was able to work in, you know, he got a better job. He started making more money. Life turned around. And you know, and now I was a teenager. I'd already been out of the house for a while. But that, you know, that's always stuck with me. So anytime somebody starts talking about, Especially when the use the line, you're walking around the house, or you're walking around your house, and with the product of another man's ball sack, running around your house. That just like, I'm like, what? How
Do you
inflammatory
look
do
at
you want to get?
children? I mean, how do you look at children like that? Like, is that
I
all
mean,
they are?
Well, I'm just saying that's people. When I hear that,
I
I'm
mean, I'm
like,
not
this
saying
is
you. I mean them. Like, how do
yeah.
they
I mean,
view?
when I
Like,
hear that, I'm like, what is wrong with you, man?
to me, that would be the thought process of somebody who's probably a deadbeat dad, anyways. Somebody who looks at children as just like, sperm spawn or something, or crotch fruits or whatever.
Yeah.
And not like actual tiny little humans that mean something to us. It's insane. So then, all right, so stepdads don't bother you because you've obviously had a like fairly well experience with that. Now, what about single moms? Are they ran through? Are they?
I mean, certainly some of them are.
Well, yeah, some of any type of women is.
Right. I mean, I can't draw a blanket. I can't throw a blanket over that statement. What I can do is I can say that, women with kids it's a really challenging thing on both sides of that equation for men. And, so right before I got married, the woman I dated last before I got married to my wife, she had a kid. And I'd actually never really had a relationship with it. I mean, I'd dated women with children, but I'd never gotten into a relationship with a woman with a child before. Mm-hmm. And that's actually, I think, one of the things that really pushed me around the edge to being, because I was already kind of on the non-degen arc. We didn't call it back then. It was basically, there was other words that we used, not really YouTube friendly.
You were on the straight and narrow.
I was already on the non-me arc. But it kind of pushed it over because I saw what life could be with children around. But the problem is I never could bring I at that point, I still wasn't a good enough person to be a dad to that little girl. Right. There was no way I could do it. I was just too fucked up and it just wouldn't have worked.
Right.
But that, I wouldn't say that she was run through, I mean, I'm sure she had her share of men. I'm not going to throw rocks there, but at the end of the day, either you decide to you decide to accept a person for who they are today, or you decide to live in the past, and worse, you decide to live in their past.
Right. Is that weird?
That
is so weird to me. That is so weird to me.
I don't live in anybody else's past. My wife had a past before she met me. We've had small conversations about it. Not a big deal.
Yeah, but even if she was, I don't know, pretend she did something really crazy and degen, sure, right? And it was like something she did a few times or something like that. You talked about it. Whatever. And now you're married 20, like obviously you have nothing to worry about, but you looked at her for who she was with you, and her actions obviously spoke louder than anything. And I think that doesn't get enough recognition. I think we were all 20 something once. I think we were all stupid once. I think we all did really dumb shit once. And it's just a matter of how soon before you actually grow up and realize, you know what, this is probably stupid behavior. And I think that's a piece that everybody goes through to some degree. And whether you want to take accountability for it or not is up to you. But like what you do going forward and how are you planning to fix it? Are you planning to change it? Are you planning to do something better with your life? If the answer is yes, and you're actually doing the stuff to get to that, then you don't need your past being hung over your head every single day. I don't think that actually doesn't help anybody to any degree. Especially if children.
I think where we have to start kind of drawing the line, though. I'm sorry, Sarah, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Especially if children are come out of that, right? Yeah. Like, because if you look at it, you could become a single parent.
Mhm.
Like, let's just, you could become a single mom and take ownership and
I couldn't.
you couldn't. I could. You could
Yep.
become a single mom, take accountability for that, realize, you know what, this behavior got me to this, and I did something stupid, but this amazing child came out of it. And then now you choose to follow your life in a way that exemplifies what you would want to be as a mother, a parent, a nurturer, a better person, so on and so forth. And, you have these come to Jesus moments in your life. But I think that if you like continued to go out and make more babies and do more stupid things, I think that that's okay. Your behavior is definitely proof in the pudding. But
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? I think if you're taking accountability for the mistakes you made
on the mom side, right? On the women's side, I think this is where we have to start really this is where women do need to be treated differently, and that is if you're making such poor decisions that you end up with 4 baby daddies, or maybe you don't even know, right? Like you have no idea. It could be 4, it could be 3, it could be 2. You just don't know, right? And so it's a if you're in that situation, first of all, it's a big ask for a man to get involved. That's a huge ask. Like I know that there are dudes that are they have balls hanging low enough that and they swing hard enough that they could pull that off. I couldn't pull that off. I couldn't. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know if it makes me less of a man or not, but there's no way I couldn't do that. Mentally, I couldn't do it because of the amount of bad decision making that had to have gone on there, right? But that doesn't mean that woman can't find somebody who's like, yeah, okay, I've made some bad decisions too, and
right.
Our bad decisions might actually kind of mesh. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying that for me personally, it would be I couldn't do it, and I think it'd be a really hard sell. And so whether or not that's run through or not, because legitimately, you could have a woman that has 4 kids by 4 different dudes that only had sex 4 times.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
Right. And but in our modern society, looking at that, you're going to say, well, she's had 100 dudes. Just law of averages, right?
Yeah.
And so I couldn't do it. I don't know. I honestly don't know anybody who can do it. Now, my brother, for example, his wife had 2 children by another man who was an absolute scumbag. He was a scoundrel. Probably ended up in prison. I don't know. But the kids turned out good. My brother was was never their dad because they were old enough when he came into the picture to that everybody knew, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, hey, here's your new dad. It was, this is
hi, Mom. This
is mom's new dude. And but he cared and provided for that for them all. And and I always thought that was a really manly thing for him to do. But again, that was, it's not the same as if she had been with 2 different dudes or 4 different dudes or, had 5 kids or whatever.
Right.
So again, I'm just, it's a tough one. It's a tough subject it is nuanced to a degree. I can draw very clear lines because I'm a dude looking at it through a dude's eyes, also married a long time and just don't, so that's it. But I don't know.
I think that we have to treat it. Number one, I think we have to recognize there are individuals in any circumstance, right? And every individual is unique and has their own story. What happened, this, that, or another. Believability is purely up to the receiver of the information. But like you have married, widowed, absentee fathers, like the abandonment, you have all of these different things that it can happen and whatever. And I think that we shouldn't just face value say things. But I also want to know why everybody gives a fuck whether somebody's a single mom, a stepdad, or whatever their past history. Like, why are you inserting? Like, are you family? Are you affected by their life? Are you having, is somebody's marriage affecting you? Is it, it just, that's the part that blows my mind overall, is why does everybody fucking care whether a man, married a woman who has kids already, and why do we care to call him a cuck? Why do we care that she was a single mom? Like, instead, let's look at the positive and say, hey, look, there are that many children who are being taken care of by a man who's willing to freaking do it. And hey, more power to them, because now they don't have to worry about getting on welfare, government assistance, this, that, another. And, you have a male role model in that family's life. Like, it yields more positivity if you look at it that way, and we treat it as if it's a bad thing.
Well, I'm gonna say this. It'll be controversial. It's okay. It's easy to talk shit on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
People will say things on the internet that they will never say in person. There's literally nobody that's gonna walk up to Andrew Wilson and ask him why he's married to a woman who has children by 2 other men. You will get knocked on your ass so hard,
mm-hmm.
and you will deserve it, right? There's now the other thing is this idea of, well, widows, okay, single moms, depending on circumstances, could be okay. I can agree with that, but that's literally every woman ever. A woman does not need to have kids to be psycho.
True.
Or to have 10,000 bodies. As a matter of fact, you have to judge everybody on their actions right now, today. You look into the past, you may not like what stares back at you. And the reality is that in reality, nobody does this shit. half the dudes that sit around and say, I wouldn't date no single mom. If a hot ass single mom walked by and said, hey dude, what's up? They will say,
they would 100%
baby, what you doing? How you doing tonight?
Well, but then they like to say, oh, it's recreational use only. Bitch, please stop yanking your own chain. It's almost pathetic, actually.
Well, it's just different, right? I've seen all of the tragedies. Fortunately, in my years on this planet, I've seen enough of the different tragedies that people go through. Right? I know children who have been, a product of a single mom because their dad, self-deleted. I've seen the same thing with moms self-deleting and leaving their kid with a husband. What does a woman think about a single dude with a kid? Huh? What about that? What does that say? Right? I know people right now that have custody of their children because their ex is a drug addict, strung out, and is literally unfit mother. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these, there's always a story. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think. There's always a story.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything bad about being a single parent. I look at it as, as a single parent, are you being a parent? Are you taking care of your children? Are you there for them? Are you, making them if I were to date a dude who's a single parent, and he made me a priority over his own kids, and was like, oh yeah, I see them every couple weekends, and yeah, I send money, and there's no phone calls daily to their children and things, and I'm like, wrong. Instant no. But if he's has them, quite often, is very involved, and has to cancel plans because he's got to take care of the kids because something came up, that's attractive. That's more attractive, than any other direction. And you can see how they already are with children. It's actually you're kind of winning in a little bit. But Wrongful Rage coming in with a big 10 says, my stepson told me he wished I was his real dad. He just graduated from basic today. My stepdaughter says she wishes her mom, current lady, met me when she was younger. I think that is beautiful. And that's the, I think there's a lot of stepdads out there who can make a difference.
Well, I do think you have to be a little careful, though. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Don't be.
We're really I'm speaking in massive generalities.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to read that?
Siege D coming in with a big 2 says support to Siege's single mommy stripper fundraiser. Oh, I think that's a thing on Glenn's, right? You guys talk about the single mommy stripper fund.
Yeah,
that's funny. Thank you, Siege. Support all single mommy stripper fund. Yeah, go ahead, Grid.
Yes, I mean, obviously we're speaking in real generalities here, and every situation's different. I think the one thing is that on both sides, the thing is everybody's like, well, you have to be careful if you're a man, single mom, really only using you for your resources. I hate to tell everybody this. Every single woman you meet, they look at you for your resources. It's just the way it is.
Well, that's the survival skill of anyone.
Well, and men are supposed to be the providers. And if you are pissed off about being a provider, maybe you're not a man. Maybe you ought to get sucked a little more often because we need to be reminded it's there. Because obviously you don't know it's there. If you're pissed off about being a provider, that's a problem. Now, is that to say that you aren't going to be done wrong in life? No, I have people do me wrong all the time. I have contractors fuck me over almost daily. I just found out that we pay good money for some dudes to do some cleanup on a property, and they didn't fucking do half the job.
Uh-oh.
Shocking, right?
Uh-oh.
But I'm supposed to be worried about a woman doing it to me.
Right. And they were contracted.
That's my biggest concern in life is if I was a single man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that to be quite odd. I mean, it is a natural, it's a survival tactic of women to look at, the resourcefulness. But this is also what allows us to be vigilant in instances where we have to kind of remain very aware of our surroundings. This is also what makes us very, like you'd say submissive, but we're agreeable in certain situations because we're afraid of what could happen if we're not agreeable, but there's all sorts of ways. But yeah, you should be looking at like the whole hypergamy thing. Like, would you want your daughter to not be hypergamous? Would you want her to not shoot for the best that she can find?
I have a better question. Why is it, first of all, as a man, knowing that hypergamy exists makes me fucking feel awesome that my wife is with me.
Aww.
My wife is awesome, so I must be fucking awesome. Right? If my wife is this badass, then I've got to be this badass because, right? Like, I endorse hypergamy. Yeah, more hypergamy for everyone. All of you. You get some. You over there, you get some. Everybody get some hypergamy. Take it home. It's free. There'll be a bag by the door on your way out. Just take as much as you want.
Oh, I love that, Grid. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think people view it the wrong way of, oh, well, women only want you for your money, your time, your this, your that, or your another. And it's like, well, what do you want her to want you for?
Well,
I mean, not to say, like, you have to be a nice person, right? You have to be a reasonably kind gentleman to her. You have to treat her good. Like, if you treat her like crap, like, then you're just going in the bucket with everybody else.
I think that's a mistake. And we talked about that a little bit on my show today. We didn't get into it deep enough. We got sidetracked. But so there's a big difference between being kind and being nice. And I think that most men need to be kind because by nature, we aren't really nice. I'm not a nice person. It takes every bit of my energy every day to not be a complete asshole to everyone around me.
We rely on you guys to be the assholes.
Right. I mean, it's just part of who we are, right?
We have to have you be the asshole so that we don't have to get mean with people. Because when we get mean with people, we're crazy bitches. But if our man gets mean with somebody, that's Big Daddy going to town and kicking ass and taking names, right? Like that is your role.
Yeah, to some degree, that's true. But I think that a lot of people want men to be nice. They want them to be something they aren't, and a lot of men go along with it because they want pussy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
I think you still have to treat her respectfully. Like if you're treating her like crap,
I wonder sometimes if women know what respect is, though.
I think it's actually pretty simple. I mean,
you would think.
Don't treat me like I'm leftover gum stuck on your shoe rolling around in the dirt. Don't hit me. That's a big no. I don't think any man should be putting his hands on his woman, and I think that goes vice versa too. No woman should be, putting her hands on her man. But I mean, if you have chivalry and you respect your woman and you treat her kindly, I look at it this way. If her father was in the room, would you how would you treat her if her father was in the room? Carry that over to any time, and that should be the golden ticket for how you should treat your woman respectfully.
I mean, I've heard that before. I agree with that. But I also agree with that. Men and women are very, obviously we're very different.
Mm-hmm.
And when women try and and this is where you run into this, all of the confusion that we have going on right now is women want men to be in a specific way that men really aren't even. I don't even know that men are actually capable of doing it. I think that most men, when they say that they're nice guys, are lying through their teeth. I think what they really mean to say is that they're trying to impress a woman enough that she'll continue to let to touch their pee-pee.
Oh.
And they want to see some boobies. So and they will say that they're being nice. I'm not nice. I'm kind. I'm capable of great kindness.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not nice. Those are two totally different things.
Well, yeah. I mean, I
and they get confused a lot, and men always want the nice guy. But by nice, what they really mean is they mean harmless. They mean someone that they don't view as any kind of threat, right?
I want you to be a threat to everybody else, but treat me like I'm your little princess.
I'm sorry. I looked up and literally somebody asked me if I'm self-made or did I get an inheritance. I literally just said that I grew up dirt poor and we lived in constant fear of the power.
He might have just tuned in.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I did not. I'm exceedingly self-made.
Yeah, Grit has told this story, and it's a very respectable one too. I have a very big appreciation for it. But go.
So I actually did a show a long time ago about the princess effect, and it's something I think has really been inflicted upon women to the point that they're damaged, and that is that you're not a princess. You are a woman with responsibilities, goals, needs, and desires. And this is one of the things that's different in like Asian cultures and European cultures versus American. American girls are told from the moment they're born that they're daddy's little princess. They're the little princess. They're the little princess. And then when they grow up and they meet a man who's self-made, and that's the man they want, he doesn't want them because he doesn't want a little princess. He wants a grown-ass woman. And then these women have to bounce around for a couple of years and to figure it out when they're really done. I really think that I don't like the princess thing. I think it's overdone.
I think if you're viewing princess thing on every scenario, then yeah, that wouldn't work. But in terms of the way he treats me and interacts with me on our personal level, doesn't mean mama doesn't have her shit together, right? When mom's being mom, she's the fucking queen ruling the house in terms of getting shit going, right? But and that comes with responsibilities. But
I know it's outside of the scope of the show, but princess always means entitlement. It's always like they didn't really have to earn it. It's not really. Whereas of course, princess. I grew up with redneck women I grew up with rednecks and women who worked hard as their anyone else, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have a different I kind of have a different line there. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
I married a Chinese lady that's super awesome, not entitled, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
not entitled. Like one of the things that she told me. Let me tell you. Uh, her entire obviously, in China, you just go to school. That's all you do. No job, no nothing. They just go to school
Mm-hmm.
to learn, and it's like their job. And for her to come to the U.S., she had to get a visa to do that, to go to college here. Her dad would go down and stand in line all day at the embassy to get a visa for her. It took a week of him doing that every
Aw.
day. And so she has that to look at. She says, okay, this is the lengths a man should go to
Mm-hmm.
for his family. And so she had no choice but to do just as much when she came over to do in college, right? That's why she got straight A's. There was no sense of entitlement. She had to earn his effort to
Mm-hmm.
do that, right? She had to
Yeah.
make it worth it, right? Like the end of what's that? Saving Private Ryan, right?
Did I
Where
earn it?
where he looks up and he says, he says, "Earn this," right? As every single fucking human being on the planet every day ought to wake up and
Mhm.
say, "How do I earn my daily bread today?"
No, I'm actually grateful because my father kind of kicked me and my brothers in the butt and said, like, you want it, you go get it. And all three of us did. Like, we all went out, we got our own education, we all made lives for ourselves, we got our careers, like we kicked ass and took names. And it's actually rare that you find like 3 out of 3 siblings all being successful in what they did. But at the same time, like, I am still the only girl, right? So I'm still a little princess, right? And my dad still always recognized, like, that's your sister, that's my daughter, that's my little princess, right? So I think that there's still recognition. If she's not willing to get her hands dirty and put some effort into it, you got the wrong girl to begin with. But I think that if that's acknowledged and recognized, there are things that best example I can give you. I was in a relationship with a guy, very hard worker, very blue collar, great relationship, great man. And I had a foundational crack in my basement, and I like walked into my basement and found like a little bit of water on my floor, and my carpet's ruined, and I'm like, oh my god, like, oh, like I have to tear it. So I got my knife out and I'm trying to, I'm calling and I'm talking to him on the phone, and I'm like, I don't, know what I'm doing, but I just know I need to tear the carpet up. Like, I already know that's the first step. And he's like, Sarah, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm tearing the carpet up. I got to get it. And he's like, put the shit down. I want you to go upstairs, sit down, go be with the kids, make dinner, do whatever you need to do. I get off work in an hour. I'm already in my work clothes. I'll come over. I will take care of the carpet for you. And I about melted like butter because I was like, you mean I don't have to do this myself? That to me, that's the princess treatment of like, I'm still willing to do it.
Well, there's an expectation, right? Like,
right.
and this is where I think most people are fucking up these days. They don't understand the expectations, right?
Mhm.
My wife expects me to solve all problems. Like, no matter what it is, I solve the problem, and I do. That's what I'm good at that.
That's so
that
sexy,
happens.
Grid. And I'm not hitting on you, but that's hot.
I solve all
her
problems.
problems.
It's just that's what I do. So my wife and my wife expects me to do that. I expect her to just do her thing and very little, and take care of the kids to some degree. But I do
Right.
more of that now. And when she starts spinning out, I'm the one that says, "Hey, you got to draw back. You got to calm down. Just go cool off. Go sit down. Whatever." So that's because that's just the way I do things. Okay, that's the way it works in my house. Because I am who I am. Now, other men are not like me. I know that. I've met them, and they do not meet the challenge. So, and that's okay. But men do need to become more. Men need to up their game, become problem solvers, become the men who, even if they're not doing it themselves, remain calm.
Yeah.
When you need to respond in kind, right? Like if a guy's standing on your front porch yelling at you, you don't sit there and go, "Well, sir, please step back." You raise your voice. You do the things that you need to do to meet that challenge, and that reassures, in my experience, not opinion, in my experience, that reassures most women. Most women are that are women, right? They have there's a mindset that's for most women the way it works. But at the same time, we can't get away from men and women are different. There's a definite sense of entitlement. Now, I will, and I, before I say this, and I know I'm going to draw ire, I understand that there are a lot of entitled ass men out there that need to get their shit together. There's more entitled ass women out there who will never get their shit together because men will enable them.
I agree. I think if you're not willing to do it yourself, you shouldn't be expecting somebody else to do it for you. And I mean, there are things that I just can't do. Like there are things I can't lift that it's like it's heavier than me. I literally can't do it. I'm gonna call a couple, gentlemen over to pick it up and carry it out or whatever the case may be, because I know I physically can't do it. But overall, like, am I willing to do stuff? Yeah. But I think that it's kind of it was a princess feeling having a man tell me to just sit down and go do girl shit while he does guy shit. And I was like, really? You're gonna do that for me? Because I wasn't used to that. I was used to always doing all the guy shit and the girl shit all at once, all the time. So it was very nice. IFBB says, I wish I could actually have more than this. I'll be short. How many mothers will give you authority to discipline their children, which can undermine? And I think you were referring to like the step parent role.
Yeah.
And I think there is a reasonable amount of understanding that there should be a level, like a hierarchy in the house once it's solidified, once it's there and this person's gonna marry you, so on and so forth. Like, okay, I think, but you should be kind of following the lead of what the disciplinary actions are in the house. If like, I think that you should. I love it when I get backed up in response. So if I'm disciplining my children, no, we're not going to XYZ, blah, 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 blah. And then backup comes in behind me and like, listen to your mother. And I'm just like, yeah, what he said, I think that's nice. And I think that should be the case. And, for me, at least me personally, my children are taught to respect elders to begin with. So if you're talking back to any adult, there's going to be words that you and I are going to have. Like, that's not going to fly. Do you have a thought on that?
It's a tough one because I think when you were talking about discipline, women have a hard time with discipline because they either are too soft on it or they go way the opposite extreme. They seem to really kind of miss the sweet spot. They lack an understanding of it. So either they're doing what they innately want to do, which is not really discipline and more nurture, right? Mm-hmm. Or they feel like they have to do the discipline and they just take it way too far. It's tough for me because I think that at some point, if you are going to, and again, I have no personal experience with this other than having been a stepdad. Now, my stepdad did discipline us. That was Old Testament shit right there. It's the South. Yeah. Go cut your own switch.
Yeah, go pick your own, bring it back, and you have to decide because the thicker ones, they hurt, but it's more like a bruisey hurt, whereas the thinner ones are stingy. Yeah.
Yeah, and you brought back one too little that was going to break the first time. They send you back out to get another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so so it's a tough one for me because my personal experience is as in that situation is my stepdad absolutely disciplined us. I I I don't. I mean, looking back on it, I got off light. I'm just going to be honest.
You were probably a good kid.
I mean, I was a good kid, but I behaved badly on many occasions, right?
Well, what
And
kid
so,
doesn't?
huh?
What kid doesn't? Like
Yeah.
they're it's like they're created to push your boundaries and test your nervous
Right.
system.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I should have been disciplined, punished, however you want to say it. Probably worse, right? But I grew up in the era of school paddlings too, right?
Oh,
So I mean, to me, I think the entire modern generation is a bunch of soft ass pussies. But that's just me. You wouldn't have lasted in my day, son. You just wouldn't.
oh. And Gesterol comes in with the Big 10. Over 2 years celibate. Poon ain't got no power here. Prove your worth. I'll be chopping down cedars. I love that. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And you ever thought?
Oh no, go ahead. Read the super chats. You've got them stacked up. So
yeah, let's get through these, and then I'm going to hit play. And while we're watching the Andrew Wilson and Gary the Numbers, I'm going to go ahead and drop the open panel link. And so while we're watching the video, you guys can pile in to the backstage, and then we can all openly discuss and go forward. And IFBB coming in with the Big 5. Stepdad and stepmoms have different duties that are vastly different in allowance for authority roles. Even most good men avoid limited authority. I'll let you answer to that. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think that in any family, the amount of discipline that women or that moms should do is basically zero, and the amount of discipline that dad should do is basically all of it. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Just the way it is.
An infamous Jack comes up with a Big 5. A man's respect for a man looks different than respect towards a woman. Women are princess to their father. Men aren't going to treat you like your dad. Just saying. I look at how my dad treats me now, right? And like, to me, that's how I would expect. If you can't even match that, like my dad treats me very well in terms of like he ensures I'm good to go. He makes sure everything's okay. My disposal's not working. Dad, my disposal's not working. This one's outside of my pay grade. I need help. Okay, sir, poop, I'm on my way. Like I have a problem. I call my father and he has a solution. And maybe the solution is to call somebody else, but he still like removes the mental game of me having to worry about it. Right. Even if it's going to be, I'm on my way, or, hey, actually, let me give you a phone number. I know somebody who can do that or something.
Right.
And to me, that's what a man should do. And to me, that's what princess treatment feels like. I don't know. Maybe my princess is different than other people's princess.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a lot of and I know that you've had a lot of women on your show that have come in and they want men to express their feelings more, and they want to talk about this, and want to talk that out and all of that. Whereas someone like me, I think that most men should be stoic. Unless you can actually express your feelings, you need to keep your mouth shut. Because you'll mess it up for the rest of us. And so it's but I'm just men and women are different, and we can't get past that. We'll never be able to get past that. We just need to acknowledge it and move on.
Yeah,
just what it is.
That's fair. Wrongful Rage coming in with a Big 10. A good man gives to get something. A kind man gives because he knows what it's like to be without. Oh, that's nice. One wants a benefit, the other wants to benefit others. I was told long ago, be useful or be useless. Ooh, that's a burn. I like that. Any thoughts?
I agree with Wrongful Rage. He's Wrongful Rage is a wise human. I'm assuming he's human.
Yeah, he could be a computer.
Could be AI.
AI. Infamous Jack following up with another 5. I hear it's hard for men to stay sexually attracted to women they respect because true respect conflicts with the responsibilities of a man's role.
I disagree with that.
I do too.
I very much respect my wife. Now I will say that and it comes across this way very often because it is this way. I don't actually respect very many women. I mean, beyond just respect as a human, right? Like,
right.
I respect your right to exist because that's what that's the bare minimum. But it's hard for me to respect a lot of women. And basically, with me, it starts at 0, and you can go down or up.
Mm-hmm.
You can get most go pretty negative pretty fast. So
that's fair. I feel like actually the more respect you have for your wife, and I'm assuming we would go into wife role by this point.
Sure.
I feel like that's actually, you become more sexually attracted to them, like especially watching them become the mother of your children, watching them, be your wife in front of others and around things and making sure things are done. And I don't know, to me, I would find that to be more sexy, just the same as being married to a man, and the more respect I develop for him, and then just sexy, or like when he goes and yells at somebody because they're being a butthead, and it's just like, oh, that's mine, it's sexy.
This Sin 7 Sin, I think she's in the, or he, or whatever that is in the hate sex. Something.
Ooh.
Sexual attraction requires a friction. You have to keep some sort of antagonist in order to not fall into a roommate situation.
Can have, I think you can have light banter, and it can still work in terms of the sexual attraction. Like, you still have to keep it fun, and I think that works with banter. But I don't think if you are constantly mad at each other or something, I don't think that's going to work. And Furby comes in with a big 10, says, how much more of Grid Prattle must we endure until we get to Prattle? No, I'm thankful. I'm thankful Grid came on tonight. We're gonna take our sweet ass time now. Let's go ahead. I wanted to play this video, and while I play it, did you have to go or anything?
No, I don't. Well, I mean, it depends what time it is. No, I'm good.
Okay. We're going to play this video. While I'm playing it, I'll go ahead and I'll drop the open panel link, and you guys can all come on, and I'll bring you up as soon as we're done getting through this little spot. But this is what incited me to do this topic, because I'm like, how can people always use this as an art? Like, it's stupid. And of course, we're going to recognize that this is just going outside of the argument and making ad hom attacks, so on and so forth. That's already there on the surface. But the fact that these are even arguments or points of whatever, it just kind of blew my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and we'll listen to this for a couple minutes. And
we'll turn it back to you, Gary. I'll put 3 minutes on the clock. So let's get started, man. We have a man here who failed in his first marriage. And again, this is a devout Christian man, and he married someone who has kids from 2 different men.
I even turned everything down here. I'll turn the speed back down.
So he's trying to tell you this is being a good Christian. This
gets gay.
Just wants to lag.
This is being a good simp.
While you're getting that to work, Sin 7 Sin. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just thought it was funny the way you said it the first time. The antagonistic approach. The last thing I need is my wife antagonized at me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. I hate the
This
buffer.
man is a simp, and he's trying to use religion as a clutch and a cope to cope for his simp. Sir, I never confuse you for red pill. A red pill would never have someone like your wife who's been with 2 different men and raising different kids. Okay, so let's not have anyone confuse anyone with red pill here. You are a grifter. You are a religious grifter who is using it as a clutch to get people on your side, to get other Christians to like you. Because even though I'm accused of being in a cult, the actual biggest cult in the world is Christianity. 2.3 billion people in this cult. But remember what this man just showed you. He can't prove Jesus is real by any stretch of the imagination. All he can tell you is, oh, well, if a whole bunch of people agree on something, that must be real. Okay, sir. Use that logic the same way you talk to women. This man will go on the whatever podcast. This man will go on Fresh and Fit and call people cucks when he's a simp himself, taking care of other people. This is basically what he is. He's the
Flag killed
fraud.
him.
He's been proving what he is. And at the end of the day, sir, this is what numerology got me, brother. You can say all you want, bro. This is a 40-year-old woman. You want to compare what as Christianity got you to what numerology got me? This is facts, sir. So again, you're a joke. You're being made to look like a joke right now. So you can keep sipping the Christianity. You can keep grifting it. At the end of the day, sir, you go home to a ran-through woman with a whole bunch of different kids, and that's what you are. That's what your legacy is. So keep praying, brother, because they ain't gonna help you. I'll finish with this. 2,000 years, Christians have been saying Jesus is coming back. That means tens of billions of people alive have basically thought that Jesus is coming back in their lifetimes. That means tens of billions of people died.
It keeps glitching, but overall, we get the point.
The first point is it's okay to be a little overweight. I need to lose a few myself, but at least buy a shirt that fits. If you're doing that for yourself, buy a shirt that fits. You know that helps
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So I look at this and I'm just kind of baffled at the idea that again, we understand he's ad hominem, so on and so forth. It's the internet. People are stupid. But the fact that anybody would use this as an argument to dismantle somebody's credibility as a Christian blows my mind even more.
Well, I mean, numerology can't really.
Yeah.
Really. Once all I didn't actually know was numerology because, that immediately invalidates pretty much everything the dude says. I wonder how much he paid that woman to be there. Probably every dime he had in his sock. You know that he. It
might actually. I'm pretty sure because he has a picture of them when they're. Hi, Wally.
Hello.
When they were
Wally?
Like younger, like he has a picture of them when they were younger, and she is a dish. I'm not gonna like negate her beauty as a woman. She's very adorable, and for being in her 40s and still thin, toned, looking good, like more power to her for maintaining, that. But that doesn't like negate Rachel as a wife either to Andrew. And that's where I'm just like, look, everybody has different situations. Again, we should still just be happy that obviously Rachel's kids were tended to and taken care of and loved and adored and have a male role model and provided for and all of those things, whereas she could have just maintained her single momdom and things could have been worse for the kids.
Is momdom a word?
No, I just made that up. But
It's not the kind of mom dom you're thinking of, Furby.
Not mom dom.
No, not a mommy dummy.
Momdom. Like kingdom. Momdom. All right, I leave it open to you. I'm going to go tinkle real quick.
Alrighty then. Wally, how the hell are you, sir?
Doing well, Grid. How are you?
I'm doing well. Only 3 of us up here.
I know. I thought this would have brought more people up right away.
It seemed like there was going to be lots of people coming up, but it's little underwhelming.
Okay, so Wally, I have a serious question.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many days have you gone without an accident?
There's always axe-related happenings going on here, Furby, so 0.
It's hard to say accident or accident.
Yeah, I know. You're trying, you're really trying on that. I give you that.
It works
but
better
it's
in text. It works
like
better.
the plane's not landing. Like it's hitting the river.
The river. All right.
See, I think.
How did you not win VK the other night? I left you in perfect positioning.
I know. You still even got your legitimate fight promoter title advertised for everything.
I know. I can't take that down. That's.
Nor should you. It's a brilliant title.
It's hilarious. It cracks me up.
Y'all are still trying to beat or to win VK. I actually beat it.
Beat it.
I beat the boss.
Wrongful Rage coming in with a big 10. I ran the numbers myself, and Gary's kids are Jesus is the gardener, not the savior. He's been cucked since he bought that brawn for 2 shekels and a crow's foot. Oh my.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest. That's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty funny. I'm
interested to.
I don't want to laugh at this because it's kind of mean, but at the same time, it's fucking hilarious because it's mean. So,
this is why we love Wrongful Rage over here, because Wrongful Rage can talk about jizz donuts, but also can get very mean if they so choose. And I have a big appreciation for Wrongful Rage's words, whether kind or, I mean, look, like we went from a good man gives to get something to Gary's a piece of shit and he's a cock too.
Yeah. Well, I think it's weak sauce to go after a man the way that Gary did. So
yes. Yeah, exactly. And to me,
I lose a lot of respect for people really quickly because of the way they talk about other people.
Yeah, especially someone poor and defenseless like Andrew. That poor guy.
We have to recognize, okay? Andrew doesn't internalize stupid shit that people say. Right? This is something that he's very good at. He's very good at not internalizing it, and mad respect to anybody who can sit there and he just sat there quietly while the guy like just spoke very poorly about him, his wife, and his children. And he didn't lose his shit. That's a big kudos to Andrew for that. But also, you know, being able to like rise above that by way of, you know, you can say that all you want, but you're not here. You don't pay my mortgage. You don't take care of my kids. You don't take care of my wife. You're not here. And that's another piece that most people forget. That's the one thing that I always kindly remind myself when people say stupid shit all the time or attack my channel or attack me, so on and so forth. And I always think like, are you here? Are you here? Did you do any of this? You know, you're not here.
I think you got to be a special kind of stupid, honestly, because like I've been very upfront, you know, like I am doing what I'm doing in the way that I'm doing it to build my platform so that in the next election cycle that I get some of that delicious PAC money that's going to get spread around in the conservative sphere. Why would I not get paid for the things that I'm going to say anyway?
Right.
I mean, that's assuming Donald Trump even allows the next election to happen.
Well, I mean, that's why I need to
you could worry about that.
We're going to end players, Furby.
Hold on, you guys are both talking.
I was just saying that I would. That's a legitimate concern for the Furby because we're going to annex Canada next week. So
I was gonna say she's a Canadian.
Actually, it's next month.
it's a legit concern.
Are we really
You know what?
doing
The
this?
thing is that he's going to annex Canada. Then in the next election cycle, he'll give up. He'll step down as president, but he'll step over as king of Canada.
You know what's going to happen, right? We're going to become really great allies with the Chinese and the Russians as soon as like you even make like your first move. So,
well, you got to realize, Furby, like with how much Elon is a dedicated Diablo and Path of Exile player, like Canada is just an expansion pack to him. Like we can just roll over it.
we can he can dedicate billions of dollars to that.
That's funny.
Well,
That's
you know that like he didn't actually like. He paid someone to do all that shit, right?
I mean,
why do people say that? I think that's pretty funny. I was on a panel the other night, and they were like, "Well, this guy's like spazzing out about Elon during the debate," and I'm like, and it got to the point where you couldn't even correct him. I'm like, he was saying all of this nonsense about how Tesla came to be, and I'm like, no, that's not accurate. He talked about how SpaceX came to be and the PayPal thing and all of that. And I'm like, none of that has anything to do with what Elon has or will do. What Elon's good at is exactly what he is exactly what he's doing for Trump. He finds assets that are being wasted and not being used very well, like PayPal, Tesla, he created SpaceX. That's not a good example, but Solar City, all of those, and then he turns them around and makes them actually profitable working companies.
You guys all know I hate talking politics, right?
And it's great. I actually used to really dislike Elon, and then I can't really talk about some of the things I've seen, but I still dislike him in a couple of ways, and I think he could, But hey, he's a billionaire, multi-billionaire.
He seems good at managing companies that are already profitable, but like when
Tesla
he tries to start up
name one company. No, look, don't make stupid claims. You're not somewhere where people are dumb. Name one company he took over that was making money when he took it over.
Oh, that's not my claim. My claim is that when he starts new ventures, they tend to flop. So when you look at Hyperloop, for example.
A lot of people, myself included, have started companies that have flopped. I mean, that's not a good assessment.
Well, that's also
now you're changing the goalposts, right? Like you always. You were literally the worst person to talk about it.
Rage coming in with the Big 10. 4 words and to the back with you, Furby. I can be good at lavish parties. To them hootenannies. With Billy folks in their hills.
I don't know what that means.
Fair enough. I think that was a Canada.
You don't need to explain. It's fine. Just put me in the back.
But yeah, you got 10 minutes in the back, Furbs. Loves you.
I was about to ask, how did we end up having Elon cuck this conversation about women?
I wanted to know too, because I hate politic conversations. If I want to know where I need to stand politically, I call my father, and he tells me what I need to do, what I should be worried about, X, Y, Z. I don't. I stepped away from politics a long time. I used to be that nerd that listened to C-SPAN and all those things. And then one day I was just like, this is too stressful. I'm over it. I'll just let my dad tell me what I need to know. And he does. He gives me just just what I need to know. Yeah.
This is why I became a wrestling fan as a kid, because watching men argue on C-SPAN is more interesting when there's a steel chair involved.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, I'd love to hear from...
That's the guy who Bloodsport debates every week.
Oh, my God. Wicked Wally and Primal Studies. I'd love to hear from the two of you on stepdads. Are they cucks?
No.
And our single women ran through?
No, the whole thing is, because I've seen this on Twitter for years, it's a result of people just wanting to use cuck as a catch-all term, and they think it's They think it's a win when someone is in a relationship where there are stepchildren involved. Like, that's like trying to call a fat person fat, which means you somehow win the argument because they're fat. So it's like, oh, well, you're a cuck, so I win. Like it's just something that it's nothing I have never seen when somebody will always use it when they can't contend with another argument.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Primal Studies, welcome back to Planet YouTube.
Hey, how's it been?
It's been well here. How have you been?
Good. Just, getting cucked by my work. That's how it goes in life. You're always getting cucked by somebody.
Right.
So that's just the nature of the beast. Somebody's always getting you, whether it's your boss or your job or Uncle Sam. Somebody's always trying to make you their bitch. I mean, that's just the way of the world.
Well, what do you think about stepdads and single moms?
I think to your question, are they a cuck or are they ran through? Well, maybe. If they are, they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could be. They also might not be. I heard Grid talk about, in theory, it's possible for a woman to have had sex 2 times and she got pregnant twice with 2 different guys. And other than that, she was the purest thing since, sandwich bread. I don't know. So in theory, it could be the case, but you kind of look at the probabilities and you look at the behaviors before that can give you at least some indicators of how does this person operate in the world. And I think that's how people should kind of align themselves appropriately. I put it in the chat a little bit earlier, and I think it's, if you're going to enter one of those situations, I think the question is why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something you're choosing to do, or is it something that's being chosen for you? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So always enter. Well, so because that's your quote unquote only option available to you, either that or you opt out. So some people I've seen have made suboptimal choices in life because that's all they believe they can get or aspire to. So I've seen that where I'll call that almost the choice being made for them. No, it's not the choice being made for them, but they've limited themselves by not achieving. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is you look on like the same people who will like just throw around a catch-all term when it comes to anything dating related are the same people who don't like that single parents are in the dating pool at all, women or men. They think once you have a child, if the relationship fails, you are both opted out of the dating pool for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like that single moms are in the dating pool because they're in the way of the women they actually want. And they don't like that single dads are in the dating pool because single dads are probably more competitive in the dating pool than them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because
somebody's always hating. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I have a lot of experience as a single parent dating myself. And I will say that in my personal experience, I went through that initial period where it's like, oh, my dating life is over. This is going to be awful. And then came to find out nothing attracted most women than being a single dad who wasn't a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's a turn on.
Yeah. Now, granted, I end up with a lot of women whose preferences are beards and daddy issues, but you weed through those over time.
Yeah, and I think it's what are you trying to get, right? I think there's a lot of that out there because some people, like I also dated in the single dad world for many years, and for some people that's a huge barrier and they don't want that. They think that they're maybe okay with that, and then partway through they change their mind and decide that's not for them. And you know what? That's okay. People are allowed to change their minds about things. So I think you got to find your audience, and not everybody audience is the same audience, and that's okay.
Well, I think also looking at it in a way of would I demand, like if I went out dating, would I demand that they are going to now be accountable for my children? You know, at the end of the day, the answer is no. Like I don't look at it that way. And I think that makes a difference. Like to me, I look at my children as that is what I'm responsible for. And if I'm not willing to do that myself, then I wouldn't, you know, like I wouldn't expect anybody else to do something for me. And I think that there is a difference with women who go into the dating market with that expectation of you will take care of my children, you will do this, you will do that. me, like, no, these are my children. I will take care of them. If you end up stepping in and wanting to, take over that role per se, great. But I'm not, like, I just look at this is my little bubble. If you want to come into my bubble, cool, but I'm not going to force you into that bubble, right? Like, and not only that, like, there's gonna be a lot of there's a lot. I think single moms or even single dads, when they're dating, you're actually much more what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you're much more picky, I guess you could say, because you have children in the mix. You have more to risk. You have more to lose. So bringing just any willy-nilly into your home is just something that's like, it's not doable. If I was like 22 and single, it wouldn't matter who I dated because it's only affecting me in that aspect. But
So you're less concerned about the willy.
and all about the nilly. But I think that, when you're dating as a single parent, like, you're thinking of, are they a risk for my children? Are they a benefit for my children? Like, all of those things. And it's like, you actually cross more people off the list before you even get to the date number one, because you're just like, I don't want that around my kid. End of story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all heard also, that, single women use their single moms use their children to get things from the government or from their ex-husband or from whatever, and certainly there are definitely a lot of those examples. But I honestly, just from my personal experience, now obviously, we don't all go to the same churches, we don't all have the same friends, we don't all travel in the same social circles. But from my experience, limited as it is, most of the single moms I know are trying to be good people, and they found themselves in a situation where, they ended up divorced for whatever reason, whether they did something stupid like cheated, or their husband did something stupid like cheated, or they just were never compatible in the first place. I actually know some people going through that right now. They literally never should have had a kid. Well, they definitely never should have had kids together, but they never should have gotten married. These people, I have no idea why the hell they thought this was ever going to work. But it's like watching a train wreck that takes like 3 years to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just see it coming, and you're just waiting.
Pause.
And
I think I've definitely encountered a mix where it's like, yeah, I've met single mothers who are in a situation that's perfectly reasonable. And then there are those that, I give it a couple of months, and then I'm like, I'm becoming convinced there were two sides to this story that I haven't heard.
Mm-hmm.
I have to step in here, moderator mole here. I'm not, ranch mode. John Deadman, please contain yourself, sir. That I see the comment you made. We're going to have to hide that one, and don't do that again.
Yeah, sorry. I'm in the car driving back from the airport, so I'm a bad moderator. I can't see the chat right now.
No, you're fine, man. I got you, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that, because what was it? Mike Tyson said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
life can be hard at times, right? And I think you said it earlier. I think there's a lot to be said about how people react to the things that occur in their life. There's a lot to be said about how you respond, how you react, how you come back from those kind of things. So I don't know. I don't just write people off because of one event necessarily. Like, I think everybody on this panel, probably everybody in this chat, you've probably messed up at least something in your life that probably, if people dug back far enough, they'd be like, oh, somebody would try to write you off for it. But if we just wrote everybody off that wasn't perfect, well, I think we'd all be written off on everything.
I mean, my 20s are probably why many single moms are considered ran through.
Oh, where'd Mel go?
Somebody wrote her off the list because she wasn't perfect. That must have been you, Sarah.
Canadian internet.
Yeah, she's never just left. There she is. I was gonna say she's never just jumped off of a panel without saying goodbye first. You good, Mel? Melanie.
Hey, I'll use this as an opportunity to hop down though, because I'm just getting home from the airport. I've been gone for a little while, but I caught part of your
Aw.
show because the airplane had the Wi-Fi's on the internets, so I figured I'd
Aw.
cop up and say hello. It's been a minute, but good to see you. Salute to everybody in panel. Salute to everybody in chat. Hit all the like buttons, do all the things. Show Sarah some support out there.
Thanks, Primal. So glad you're jumping back on. I missed you.
I mean, it's been I've had a lot of travel and work stuff lately, so it's definitely been less. But I haven't forgotten about this place.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're still here. But shout out to you and everybody. If you haven't subscribed to Primal Studies, get over there, because then when he does come back and starts, doing his thing, it's strong with this one. He's got very powerful messages. I love it. So,
well, thanks much. I'll catch you all later. Thanks.
See ya.
So we're back to where we started.
We're back. Melanie, the floor is yours. Stepdads and single moms.
Oh yeah, like a stepdad's like automatically better than whoever that guy was who left that woman to raise that child on her own in the first place. So
yeah, that's how I look at it.
How do you know that? What if the two people just couldn't get along? Doesn't mean like the person is bad for leaving the relationship if there was some kind of threshold breaker. You're presuming that every
I'm
dad
appealing
who
to the
wins
group
the
of
picture
people.
doesn't stay involved. So that's not
I'm appealing to the group of people.
Well,
here.
it is. I will say it's presumed, because the statement is stepdads are cucks, that it's presumed that the actual father is not involved and the stepdad is in a provider role, taking care of those children and taking care of somebody that's not his child. So that's already automatically presumed that is the case in this particular instance. Not to say that it's always the instance, but in the case of being a cuck, that's what's being here on the table.
Like, I don't want to be that girl, but like it depends on what your definition of cuck is. Obviously, like if you're gonna say that, like, oh, she had some man before and had a kid with him, like, okay, so what, you're gonna, like, there are so many people in like this space who need like a woman, and the ways that they limit their own options with these things is amazing to me. Like, just like statistically increasing their chances that they never get laid or never find a partner, depending on what they want.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I was making the point there where like you have these populations of people who will just don't want single parents to exist in the dating pool at all. But here's the thing. If they're going on dating apps, there's an X button that works really, really easy, and it does it really well. And you can skip through these people. And there are filters that also work pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You don't have to see these people if you don't want to.
I've received like the few times I did have a Tinder profile, I've received a couple times of somebody telling me like, you're just a single mom, why are you here? Like, you shouldn't be here. You're this, you're that. And I'm just like, bro, like, you swiped right on me just to be able to tell me that? That's fucking weird. That's weird. Like, all you could have just the minute it said single mom, like, you could have just swiped left. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to go out of your way to swipe right just so you could message me to tell me that I shouldn't be. It's weird to me.
Isn't it weird also that like most men are like just they can't handle babies how they are at first, with like waking up at night and stuff like that. Women, it's hard for women too. Like, it's hard for both parents to deal with a newborn baby. But like if you're a father who comes into that later on, you've skipped that annoying newborn phase where you can't even really have much of a relationship with your child because they don't speak. So I think it's, if anything, it's kind of smart, because like I know I can't handle a newborn child. I will, like, I'm the kind of person who wakes up with my alarm blaring and I have to go do something, and I'm like, remind me again why I give a shit. And I won't be like that for a child, but I'm just, I lose patience very quickly, and I know I'm that type of person. That's why I never want to have kids. I actively avoid it.
Yeah, I think if you already know you don't want to be a parent, I think that's fair. And you obviously shouldn't date somebody that has young children either. I think that's it. Like, it's being self-aware to start with. But yeah, Ticky Tack, hello.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening to you. How have you been?
What's up, Ticky Tack? How are you, man?
Staying busy. You know.
I know.
Typical work schedule of this was supposed to be done yesterday.
Just yesterday?
Yeah.
You're lucky it didn't need to be done 3 days ago.
Yeah. Maybe a little of that too.
Yeah, so I don't know how many, I mean, obviously the top row up here have children. Babies are easy, honestly. They're not that big a deal. Toddlers get a little worse, you know. And then there's that like 4-year-old period where they're terrorists.
How much
sleep? No, 4-year-old was my favorite stage.
Yeah. Really?
4 was my most, because they love to love you. They're superhero. They want to help you and everything. They haven't developed an attitude yet. They're
and
just, and they can walk and they can poop and pee by themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
they do all that.
Like they're not shitting their pants.
And Grid, how much sleep did you get with like a newborn in your house? Because most parents I talk to, it's like maybe 4 hours a night if they're lucky.
So with a newborn, right? You sleep when baby sleeps.
Yeah.
That is the number one rule for mommies. Like when the baby sleeps, lay down too. And that's like the most important thing. So as long as you're sleeping when they sleep, it's actually not too bad. But like my babies were good sleepers overall. My daughter, I remember it was like a week later and I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh my God, she's dead. Like something's wrong, because it had been like 8 hours. And I thought like, oh my God, something's wrong. Why is she not waking up? But she slept through the night. Every night after that, life was good.
Awesome.
My oldest son, he slept really pretty well. And he actually he didn't keep like newborn hours, right? Like he really didn't get up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, we would put him we'd put him down about, probably 10 o'clock was his last feeding. And then he would sleep until maybe 5, right? And he was like super hungry when he woke up, but he was super awesome. Mm-hmm. My 4-year-old, we got this thing called a snoo, which is a computer controlled bassinet thing that automatically like has the white noise, and it does everything to keep the baby asleep like you would do. Right, like, or the baby start crying, you come in and you rock the cradle, or turn the white noise machine on for 20 minutes and it goes to sleep. The snoo does that automatically, and it's awesome. It was the best, and it was like the best thing ever. And so I
know who's going to sponsor Grid One Motorsports.
Also,
right? It was so awesome, and so he was actually really good too. He's been a really good kid the whole time, though. Like, he really hasn't had the whole, like, he hasn't really been that big he hasn't been a big drama kid. But, again, when they get to be 3 or 4, little boys are kind of terrorists, right? Like, he gets into everything. He will throw things. He's my kid. So he acts up a little bit here and there. But for the most part,
it's called
honestly, I think my teenager's like way more work right now.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
my 14-year-old is like, he's the size of a grown man, so he has to act like a grown man, but he wants to act like he's 14. And that's, and I keep telling you can't do that, man.
They only want to be little adults when it comes to having their independence that they want. But when it comes to being independent and taking care of your own shit, then all of a sudden, well, I'm only this, I'm only that. Pick one. You can't have both.
I really disagree with people who think that kids are like more trouble than they're worth, or just a lot of trouble in general. I mean, sure, you can have fussy kids. My kids went through they all go through a fussy period, right? But thankfully ours have been pretty low volume. and we didn't do stupid parent things. Like, we never let either of our kids sleep in the same bed with us. So we didn't, because I actually have a friend of mine, and I think her kid's 5 or 6, and that kid will still get up in the middle of the night and come and get in bed with mom and dad. And I'm like, there's no damn way that happens in my house. It's never happened. It's never going to happen. And because we try to be good parents from the word go. Not everybody does that, right? Like, there are a lot of really bad parents, and the blame is not to be put on the kids. It's really, the blame is the parents who don't take the time to learn how to be parents. They don't talk to their parents about how to be better parents and that sort of thing. So,
okay, I have to push back on that. So growing up in group homes,
because you have kids
with my family and stuff. No, I'm talking about my own personal experiences.
Okay.
There was a stark difference in the ability to seek affection, just like closeness.
I missed the first part of that. Growing up where?
Group homes, foster homes, institutions, basically. Like, they obviously have a, like, don't effectually touch a child thing that can be taken wrong, lead to a whole bunch of business, stuff like that. So, like, in any way that, like, a parent might soothingly touch a child, that's pretty much all. Like, you can get hugs. That was basically it. And that definitely taught me to, like, distrust people during that phase of my life, because one of the things is, like, I think especially in the years that you're talking about later on, not necessarily crawling into bed, but being able to go to somebody to confide in, to get that closeness when you feel alone and stuff like that. Like, teenagers always feel alone. We think of that as being, like, overly affectionate or whatever. I think that that's normal. I think it's normal for humans.
I don't think you understood my point.
Affection and closeness when they. Well, no, this is what I'm saying is, like, you kind of talked about affection, like, you didn't have to do that, so it was easy to raise a child. And what I wanted to ask,
no, that's
I thought you might
literally not what I said at all.
He was talking about, like, letting co-sleeping.
Right, but that extended out of saying, like, you had an easy time raising a child, you didn't have to do much and stuff like that, right?
I mean, we had to raise children.
It still wasn't easy. It's never easy to raise a kid. But
we still had to raise children, but it's not the ordeal that a lot of people try and make it out to be.
Yeah, he was saying that people say, I don't want kids because it's too much. I don't want kids because of this. I don't want kids because of that. And, like, when you actually get yourself into that situation, you actually realize, oh, this isn't that bad, right? Like, I got this. I can manage this. I can do these things. I think that's
certainly easier said than done in a lot of cases.
It's always easier said than done, but once you do it, like
everything,
like, for instance, for me, like, I became a single. I was 21 when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, and I thought my life was ending. I was like, what am I supposed to do? I didn't want kids at all. Like, I have no idea.
Well, you had to readjust your aspirations and stuff, right?
22, I popped her out, and the minute she popped out, and I didn't, like, held on to her, and she looked at me with a little face. She went, wah. And I was like, oh my God, you're mine. I got this. We're good. And it was a lot of adjusting. It was a lot of, like, okay, like, how does this do that? I'm mom, but I'm not, like, I'm a 22-year-old. I'm this, I'm that. I was a student at the time too. I was all of these different things. Oh, her internet must be going in and out. But, like, overall, I obviously overcame and adjusted and accommodated to a new lifestyle. And I don't think people realize that it's just the next level up. That's all it is.
Level up, though. It's not a crash. You're not crashing. You're not burning. You level up. You become somebody better than who you are the day before that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Wally's been very quiet, but I'm sure Wally, as a single dad, knows how tough it can be, but how much you wouldn't trade it. You just wouldn't trade it.
Right.
Yeah.
My kids, man, my kids are, like, awesome.
Yeah. And, like, I admit, like, I might be a little bit of, like, a rarity, because I was never, like, from when me and his mom separated, he grew up coming to me every weekend when I was working nights. So, like, I was never like this, one day a month or, like, one day every other week. Like, nah, fuck that. That's not how I roll. But, like, even when he was, like, a newborn, and I always hesitate to say it's easy, because I always say not everybody can be as lucky as me and have a son that would fall asleep listening to Ozzy Osbourne in my lap. And to this day, as a teenager, he'll be a car sleeper if you put Ozzy on in the car.
Oh, no way.
Nice.
He'll fall asleep listening to like No More Tears. It's awesome. But like when he was really little though, I was coming home at 1 a.m. So like his mom would get him to bed, she'd go to bed, and then I would be able to like stay up for a few hours, make sure if he started like fussing, I could lay him back down and, you know, give her a full night's sleep before I went to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was easy for us in a way just because of like me having like an odd schedule at that time.
You're still on.
Yeah, so, I'm always on. But then and then when I was by myself, I'd just kind of adjust. Like there were Monday nights, like he'd be on my bed and playing around, getting ready to get him to sleep. I'd have wrestling on, and he'd start watching, and he'd start looking at it like, you know, like it really starts getting his attention. But then I put him to bed, and then, you know, he escapes the crib after like 20 minutes and climbs back on my bed because he wants to watch wrestling. So I try to lay him back down in his crib again. Escape act repeats. So I'm like, okay, I guess you're falling asleep on my bed tonight, and I'm gonna lay you down later.
I mean,
I'm okay with the concept of. I think it comes down to the kid. Like co-sleeping truly depends on the kid. Like my son already has issues sleeping. We had to do sleep studies and all of this work, and the only time that he can actually solidly sleep overall is after he's already, like, I've put him down into his bed, and then next thing I know, it's like 1 a.m. and I'm waking up and there he is, like snuggled up next to me. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like at that point, you just have to accept your fate.
Like when he would come to me on the weekends, even like we would till he was like maybe 8, 9, 10 years old almost. It was almost easier for us to like put like a repeat of like the wrestling on that he missed from his mom's house, and we'd fall asleep on the couch watching it together. And that's when I just then I'd like shove him on the shoulder, be like, wake up, dude, get him off into bed. And then that was it. But I think part of that was probably because he wasn't seeing me during the week, that he like fell asleep better just if I was nearby.
Yeah. Because they do miss you. They do miss you.
Okay, so I feel like everyone here has been kind of speaking for themselves, and I'm trying to speak for myself too, in that, like, I feel like somebody who, since I was cut off from affection growing up, I don't feel like I would give proper affection to a child as a parent. And so I just personally don't feel like I can give them that kind of emotional needs that children have. And I'm trying to get to a larger thing that, like, although these stories you're giving are valid, where, like, sure, you took that on, it became your identity and personality and stuff like that, that's fine. But there are people, let's just, I'm not even going to bring up drug addiction or mental health or any of those things or congenital diseases, but just being a single mom, like knowing that that's going to lead to worse outcomes or more difficult kind of things. Based on your guys' rhetoric, you even kind of dissuade this. That would seem to me to be at least a justifiable reason why someone may not want to go through with a pregnancy.
No. I mean, I was scared shitless. I knew 100% I was going to be a single mom. When I got pregnant,
not every woman is as strong as you are.
I agree with that.
Well, like, hold on. Let's
quite a sentiment, but it doesn't mean, like, I was in tears. I didn't think I was going to be a good mom. I thought I was going to fail like every day. And I thought that everything was just like, it was the worst combination. I didn't want to be a parent. I never wanted to be a parent. And then after I had my babies, I was like, I want, like, especially like I had my daughter and I was like, wow, I can't wait to get married, you know, one day and like be able to pop out more. And then I married my husband. And we had our son, and then I was like, I want more, you know, and it's like, it becomes something different once. It's like, you only see it when you see it. Like,
so I can't negate your personal experiences, obviously. But what I would say, like, overall, it's kind of a risk, right? Like, what if you don't end up feeling like you can take on that role afterwards? What if it never feels natural to you? What if you step off right, that you really weren't a good parent after all? Like, and now a child has to grow up in a group home like I did, which does scar you for life, by the way.
So I'm going to be. I don't mean to speak for Sarah.
I see where you're going. I see where you're.
Well, hold on a second. So Melanie,
allow me please on this one, and then I'll let you guys go in. I get it. Not every mom is built to be a mom. Not every mom takes it the same way. Not every mom takes ownership and wants to do those things same as dads. It all rolls the same direction, right? I feel that, I see that, and that's a shit end of the stick at the end of the day. But what I will say is you are still here today. Even though it was a shitty circumstance, like you can still look back and say, okay, maybe it was a shitty circumstance. My mom couldn't be a mom, or my dad couldn't be a dad, and I ended up in group homes, and all of these crazy things happened. But you are here today because of that. And if you're not going to make the best out of a shitty situation, well, you've got the lemons. It's your choice. It's your choice what to do with them, right? If we could all think about it this way, Mel, if we could all go back and pick the parents who gave birth to us, we would all pick the super rich parents who could give us everything we ever wanted and never said no, right? That if we could all go back and pick.
I think I'd like living on a farm, actually.
At least we could look back and say, at least I have an option where I could pick something of what I want, and I could create the perfect mom and perfect dad.
I shit you not. I think if I could have grown up on a farm, I would have been happier. Can I just point out one thing? Because you said something that kind of hurt, and I know you're not trying to hurt me, so I try to give you some space to talk. But when you said, like, I made it through, that is true. I also miraculously survived at least 2 different self-deletion attempts. Mm-hmm. And I know of several of my foster care brothers and sisters who did not make it through that.
Okay.
And so, like, you're right that I made it through, but it's like a kind of like a means test for how strong you really are, in a way that I don't think is fair to a lot of kids. It was really, really hard.
I agree with you there. And even, I think but I also take it back then to the concept of the group homes and, you know, what are we doing for our children who don't have parents who can be good parents? You know, I think children should be the first interest of any country, government, state, city, county, community. Children should be our first priority. And that's where I take it back to the more political side of things of we're doing damage to, huh?
I thought we don't do politics here.
I hate politics, but when it comes to kids, that's where my heart bleeds. That's where I get pissed off.
And this is where I agree with you, by the way. So if I may just point out, there's a difference between having simply more families regardless of circumstance and having families that can be well planned and stuff like that, where, you know, I think your story, you know, you probably would have taken on the motherly role at some point. I have maternal instincts. I'm not going to lie. I feel them for my cats, and that's as much as I want to feel for any being on this planet. But because they're simple creatures and they're already adult boys. They're not even kittens. So I don't have to, I just had to save them from their trauma from the last thing. And that really bonded us. But other than that, I think, you know, it makes sense to me that you can come into that role if you're already going to do that. But being honest with yourself, like if you know deep down inside that you just won't be a good parent and nothing will change that, then you should at least have the option to not have to go through that, not take that risk of bringing a life into this world that isn't wanted and then has to go through a system that will mishandle it in one way or another. And that's just, I think the solution to caring for kids more is having families that child is wanted in the most ideal circumstances.
How many of those children are always in the worst situations though? Oh my God, Nova! Hello!
Hi!
It is all of the people who have ghosted us for a while coming on board. Welcome back.
I'm feeling better, and I dyed my hair, so I figured I'd jump on and say hi. You're looking good.
You look great, girl.
Thank you.
Tits McGee has made her way.
Tits McGee has made it back.
So Mel, and hello, Trippy, to you.
Trippy.
So Mel, here's how I look at it, right? We can what if it all day. And every parent even as a parent, you still go through these functions just the same of am I going to be a good parent? Am I doing it right? Is my kid going to end up as a, on drugs on a street corner somewhere? Are they going to go to college? Are they going to, get married? Are they are they going to be assholes? Like, am I doing it right? And you're always constantly testing yourself every day and pondering the idea of, am I fucking this all up? Because every parent feels that same feeling of, is this right? Okay. So let's back that up to that moment where you're trying to make that decision of, I don't think I'm going to be a good parent. I don't think I'm going to be a good mom. I just want to do away with this and be done with it. Well, now you haven't even tried.
Well, may I ask one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have, when you went through your thing and your first time, did you have any sort of like red flags that was like maybe I shouldn't be a parent? So like for me, one thing is that a lot of like what I experienced growing up in the group homes was emotional abuse, emotional trauma through the form of neglect. A lot of people don't like calling it that. I'm just being honest with what it was. And I'm being more honest now is like, I can be pretty fucking emotionally abusive if I want to be. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can like come out in high stress situations. And I really got, and I've learned to have control over that, but I don't think I could keep that from a child over that long of a time. And that's one of the things is like abuse can be generational, and for some people they're not strong enough to like get rid of that. So I think what you're describing is like a general anxiety, whereas like I'm trying to describe situations where people might like see red flags in themselves, things that they just can't turn off or like convert because now they're a parent.
No, I mean, I automatically presumed I'm selfish. I'm temperamental. I have no, or at least at the time, I had no inclination to even want to be a parent. I was a dance school teacher, and I taught anywhere from ages 3 all the way up to adults. And this was when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, even 19 years old. And like dealing with the little 3-year-olds annoyed the shit out of me. I was like, I never want kids because I can't. I'm speaking as if I'm in that moment, but like I couldn't imagine the idea of me trying to bend at the will of this little human being who's demanding and doing this and doing that. And I was just like, hell to the no. I don't want kids. I don't want to do this. I wanted to be a dancer. Mm-hmm. These were all of the things that I was working towards, and everything I was doing had nothing to do. Like, I just knew I wanted to be selfish. I'll let my brothers go and reproduce, when they get married and carry on the family name. I have no incentive to do it. Like, I was okay with that. I didn't feel like I was built to be a parent. But when that moment, that oh shit moment happened, and it was like, okay, do I even have
everyone goes through that?
Yeah, it's
look. All right, how many people on the panel have kids? How many people on the panel have kids? Wally, Sarah.
I have 4 kids.
When you freaked out, when
I'm trying to be charitable.
When you found out that you were going to have a kid, how freaked out were you?
I thought I was going to die.
I wasn't freaked out because I had the I had Sarah's attitude previously, like way before my son's mother got pregnant, where I had that phase where I'm like, I don't like kids, I don't want kids. And then I realized the thing was, what I was really thinking, I had an awakening where I'm like, what I don't like is I don't like other people's kids because I can't control their behavior. So I want my own children. I just don't want to be around other people's children.
Right. This is why I made the delineation, by the way. The things that are just like your general anxiety versus or like a fear of the unknown versus having a red flag, like I know that this is going to negatively impact this child and I can't keep them safe from this.
Yeah, and I can actually relate to that in some sort of way. So even in my past, I had a pretty abusive past. So I initially did come into my early 20s with like a lot of anger issues, a lot of anxiety, OCD, drug addiction. And these were all like those red flags you're trying to describe that would make me think I probably shouldn't be a parent. But later I started realizing is that the fact that I'm self-aware of my problems gives me a better opportunity to be able to fix them over time. Now, it's not something that happened overnight. Like, granted, I didn't really fix this stuff until 10 years later. But once I became more self-aware, it better prepared me to set up my life to where I would be able to have children and I would be able to be a good parent.
And by the way, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess my question I throw towards you, do you think that maybe having your own self-awareness of your problems may actually be more of a benefit in being able to control those problems when you do have kids, or recognize when you may be stepping out of line?
100%. And sorry for that. I think a big thing is, making sure you can keep the child safe from that throughout their childhood. So if you feel like you're self-aware of it to the point where you can be like, now I can, then fine. I personally just have things that I know I'm never going to grow out of these things. And it's not just that, it's that I know myself enough to know, like, if I'm going to have children, it's going to be a farm. It's going to be farm animals, because that's just where I'm at with like my mind state and stuff like that. I don't want to bring a life into climate change more than anything, but that's a personal preference, and I'm not saying anyone else should take that up. But I think if you are worried that you will put some properties onto the child that isn't fair to them, and that's a very vague way to say it. If you think you're going to negatively impact the child, which is also kind of vague, but I think more to the point, then, you're responsible if at the end of the day you also do that, knowing that you could have done that and you didn't do anything to prevent it.
Okay, let me interject something here. I've got a kid.
Let me
After
read
Sarah.
the super chat real quick. The bratty tomato is having a monitor issue that I have to go tend to. So I'm going to read the super chat, that I'm going to step away to go assist her, because this is not good. Wrongful rage coming in with the Big 10. I was taught a mother's love comes without conditions. That got broken when I was 8, and my mom left us for another family. That breaks my heart. Made me realize how good my father was, even for all of his faults. And I will say, it can go either way. Moms and dads, or people in general, can be shitty people. And I think that the most important thing at the end of the day is the child's best interest. Right. So I think there are some parents out there who choose to walk away because they know it's in the child's best interest that they shouldn't be around them. I think that's fair. Right. But I also think that there are some parents that mix up their concept of what the best interest is, and they choose themselves over their child. And that is what we call a shitty parent. There are shitty parents out there. That doesn't mean that you're going to be a shitty parent just because you were afraid of being a shitty parent. I think that actually encapsulates even more so why you would be a good parent, because you're worried about being a shitty parent, that you actually want to prevent even the ability to be a shitty parent from even happening. So recognize that, Melanie, that the fact that you even have those thought processes is what actually makes you a better parent than most people, because most people who are shitty parents never even had the fear thereof. So I'm going to leave that there. Nova, to you. And if you guys could just excuse me, I have to go tend to my darling daughter for just a few moments. Take over, do what you need, come and go as you please.
I got this.
I don't really understand all this apprehension and all of this presupposing crap. People have had kids forever, right? It's the human condition. You either are successful, and life is just what it is. Things happen. You can't control everything. You could even be a perfect fucking parent, okay? And your kid can still grow up and be a total psychopath, seriously, or a drug addict, and it has nothing to do with you. It's really going to be at the hands of fate, and it's a luck of the draw of what's going to happen. I mean, you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do to be as most responsible that you can. Some people aren't meant to have children. Adoption's a great option. So that's where that plays into. But, all you guys up here talking about this and that, that's life, man. Shit happens, tragedy happens, and you got to toughen up. Toughen up.
Yeah, like Joe Biden shouldn't have had kids.
Look,
people in the audience got that one.
Look, Trippy. When my son was conceived, I had no way of knowing I was going to bring him into a world where Obama was president in 2000. Later on,
when I say Obama, I meant Biden.
You're dating yourself so badly right now, Wally. Jesus,
dude. But, I remember
what you're saying is like, what you're saying would be ideal if like it were true that like a lot of these things aren't handed down, but there's a lot of like deficits. Like again, being able to show affection. If you can't show affection to your kids, they're probably not going to show affection to their kids. That often leads to both worse medical health outcomes and mental health outcomes. I don't want to.
That's not
probably
always.
Don't want me to list those all off, but
that's not always. That's not always true because that is not always true though, because like some people who have parents who are less affectionate could correct that with their own children. It's not an automatic that they're going to be neglectful because they're parents.
Usually when we see that correction, it's an overbearing correction, right? Like they're being too affectionate.
So
what is this too affectionate thing? What is with all
clinging
of
to
this?
The child to like they cling too much that they don't actually let the child like have their own space and stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
honestly, that's incorrect. When you have babies and young children, you cannot love them enough. Okay, they love it. They need it. Okay,
but that's the thing, like,
and as they start, as they start going through puberty and they become their own independent people, then they can start moving away. Okay, so I disagree with that.
So let's say you have like BPD levels of separation anxiety, and this is not a statement.
Oh
that
my God,
people shouldn't have kids. But if you acknowledge that, like, you're not going to be able to stop clinging to your child once they grow old enough to be independent, and you're going to keep trying to cling to them, you have to at least acknowledge that that could be a detriment to.
I don't live my life based off of a measuring tape of what therapists have to say.
I think
this is the self-awareness.
Whataboutisms are irrelevant.
Couldn't that be a benefit?
Whataboutisms can just die.
So not everybody
it happens a lot.
Turned into Norman Bates.
It is exactly a whataboutism.
But don't like the elite and the wealthy kind of keep the families tight? I mean, look at royalty, for example. Do you think that they're, if you're born a prince and you're groomed to be the king or whatever? I mean, we're supposed to be having these tight families. It's the idea that we're supposed to send our children out and they're supposed to be independent and they're all supposed to go work for the government when they're 18. And that's all the exactly. They're all supposed to go out and get their jobs working for somebody else.
Most people end up working in the private sector, dude.
Well, yeah, and ultimately what I mean is they end up paying, working in the private sector ultimately is working for the government because they're all working.
Taxation is theft.
Well, that's not my argument here. Although, if you have to fund the military, if you have to fund the federal government, then you're working for the government. That's what civilians
we're on
do.
Open Panel on Throwdown Thursdays.
Civilians fund the government. Civilians are just the funding branch of the military. So, but my point is that
it's a very right-wing economic take, actually.
What's wrong with being right-wing and an economic takeoff, huh?
Well, and
I'm just throw China yet. Let me know.
No. See, he's throwing a red herring out there because as George Washington warned us about these factions, the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans, and all this stuff. That's all a distraction from the reality of liberty and the founding documents and the principles of this country. But that's not my point. Like I said, you're trying to
distraction.
Steelman, I got to ask you, are dudes that are stepdads cucks?
Well, okay, so, and I mean, this whole idea of what is a cuck, it's like, like somebody mentioned in the beginning, let's look up the definition of this if you want to know, because who are we, or let's define it ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
Because the definition of everyone has their own definition of what it is. So until you define what it truly is, like if you look up what it truly is.
Right. No,
I'm a distraction. Nova.
Yeah, Trippy. I'll help you out. I'll help you out with that. Is that a double-ended? Is that a double-ended?
While becoming a stepdad, and then you come home one day and a black dude's fucking your wife, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this just happens because you're a stepdad.
There's an awful lot of presupposing going on, isn't there?
So by
that's the original definition of a cuck. So enjoy.
Nova, can you are stepdads cucks?
No.
Okay. Are all single moms run through?
No.
Okay, good. Now we're moving. Now we're back on subject.
Like who the fuck?
Yeah, well, I mean, according to the
Trippy.
I'm just trying to, we're kind of going down these like whataboutism path so far. I'm just like trying to bring us back into some sense of reality.
Well, basically, also what they're doing is that you're living up to everybody else's standards. It's up to you what the hell you want to do. I don't live my life according to what everybody else thinks or wants.
Obviously.
If you're gonna ask me if all stepdads are cucks, I don't really think so. Because like some stepdads take that role seriously and they actually take care of the kid as if it's theirs.
Yeah.
You got the other stepdads that
listen,
they kind of waited for another guy to get that woman pregnant, and they were like, you know what, I don't even have to have a kid. Those are the more cucky kind of guys who are like, you know what?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their own little definition of what this cuck is, and it's the definition is.
Well,
is
let's be honest.
Raising a kid that doesn't. Somebody who's
So,
raising a
still,
child
man,
that they think is theirs when
man,
it's not.
Oh no, a cuck is somebody who watches their woman have sex with other guys,
Right?
And that's not really.
That's the new age term.
In
Exactly.
this
Now, if you want to get into
specific
that,
instance,
exactly, totally different than how
the allegation was made that because some people raise other people's kids, it's as good as being cucked. Sarah just took that as the subject. She's not literally asking if the dude's a cuck. Is that a bad thing for one man to raise another man's kids? I don't think it is. We've had a whole show on it, and we were just trying. I'm just trying to.
Well, okay, so
Grizz, what about Joseph with Mary? Right?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
We all agree.
Joseph,
So is that a
that's a good
cuck?
stream
Oh,
title.
come
Well,
on.
and here's the
Yeah,
thing.
I think stepdads, deserve a lot of respect, and
Yeah, they do.
Yes, in a lot of
Well, and
cases.
here's the thing: like, even if you were going to be even
Most
more
cases.
generous with broadening the definition and say and go beyond just like what Trippy was saying, like, oh, a cuck is somebody watching his wife have sex with other dudes. You could broaden that even further and say it's a guy conceding like any kind of sexual power to the female in the relationship, and it still has nothing to do with being a step parent.
That's true.
Right. I like that.
Somebody who's
I like
a
that.
pervert.
I like that. So let me just, what do you guys think about, obviously some women are promiscuous or fornicators before marriage, obviously. Some of them.
Well, you can say some people, right? Just to keep
I said specifically some women because I'm going somewhere with that. You have to let me finish, and then we can comment. So now I gotta get back on the subject here. So the position is that because these women are single moms and sometimes they have multiple baby daddies or whatever, that they have been run through, and I made the comment or the observation that it is just as possible that a woman's only been with two dudes, but has a child by each guy, and so does that make her run through? I don't think it does.
No.
But maybe she's only been with four guys, and she.
See,
and,
it's like
we gotta clamp down our
right.
definitions again. Do we mean run through by a penis or run through by a baby? Because then that depends on if she had a C-section or not.
Holy shit, that's a little too technical. I would say they're not run through. You know who's run through? That woman that's banging like 1,000 dudes every couple hours.
That is crazy.
No,
what's your number, Trippy Cast? You like
It's
90?
shrinking, dude. You
Where
notice that?
are you at in that lineup? I'm sure that you are partaking.
Oh no, they didn't hand out numbers.
Oh, they didn't hand out numbers.
I got back in line twice.
Did you get back in line twice?
Yeah, I circled back around.
I heard you only got like
Please
18 seconds or something in there. You just like,
Really? That's what they were doing?
well, I mean, it's just 24 hours divided by 1,000,
Oh, that's what they would have to do. Yeah.
right? Like it's math.
I heard the
bro.
first time that she was like, "Oh, I wish I got more time with each guy," and then now she's shortened it. It's like just stick it in and pull it out. We'll call it that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What was
gross.
the
Some guys come pretty
previous
fast.
world
Well, this
record was
took
like,
Some
a
guys will
turn,
come
didn't it?
really fast. So
That
we
took
keep
a turn.
talking about this, and
Is that
Max is
personal
gonna show up.
experience, Melanie?
You know, Max is right
Well,
around
I mean,
the
that's
corner.
kind of yeah. So does it apply? Does it apply to women though, in like both ways though? Like if a man has kids, right, and then the woman comes in to be a stepmom, then is that, I don't know if there's some feminine version of a cuck
Is that a
or whatever,
cuck
but-
woman? I don't know.
Right. So
Well,
yeah,
that's
it doesn't-
Wally because he's a single dad.
well, so yeah, I
no.
mean, does it have to be
Nah.
subjected to just men?
I mean, that's fine.
I don't know.
It's just
I
like
note about something else.
Well, I can
Just
tell you
like-
from watching, seeing like those kinds of dating conversations on like social media, that kind of insult never gets directed at women who are known to be stepmoms. It just really isn't.
Well,
but
we
I'm
need to
still
invent
fixated on the
one.
cuck thing.
And that's
I
kind of
think
my
I
point,
think real
though.
men are cucks because if you can watch your wife get railed
Real
by a bunch
men.
of men and know that you're such an alpha that she'll still come back to you, like that's some confidence right there.
But Melanie, that's not how the bulk of those relationships work out. Most of the time, it's the woman getting as many dudes as she wants, and the other guy is just sitting there like, well, she'll still come back to me in my paycheck.
I mean, she does.
That's how that works out in 90% of those.
Okay, but okay. So if a pimp, if a pimp is effing his hoes, is he a cuck?
Huh? If a pimp is like if he's doing his bottom.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
bitch.
making money off your hoe, then are you a cuck?
Is that your attempt at negating the logical argument?
Oh my God! Here's one for you.
No, because he brings up, I don't know, whatever he brought up. The point is,
a pimp does not have a relationship with a hooker.
Exactly. No, but think about it, right?
Sampling
Since
the
they are
product.
product. The pimp is cucking himself by not making money from it.
Well, I mean,
He's
you're
fucking
right.
his own money source. It's an inversion.
and then if a pimp's not doing that, then like, what is he just too good for that? Like, I mean, why not, right? If you're
Is iDubbbz a cuck?
So what I'm
I don't
saying
know.
is,
I don't know the guy, but I'll just say
Steel
yes.
man, let me ask you
Be
a
controversial.
question, buddy.
And people like iDubbbz that their girlfriend does OF, but yet he's
Steelman, you bring
know
up
what I
a
mean?
good point. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in the old saw that if it floats, flies, or fucks, you rent it?
I haven't heard that one. I say, why buy the cow when you can get the sex for free?
Do you believe that that's accurate? Do you believe that's an accurate statement?
I don't get that.
Can you restate that one?
If it floats, flies, or fucks, rent it.
Oh. Huh.
Wally's dying up there. Why? I just killed Wally.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. That's a riddle for another day on Two Stones.
It's not a riddle. It's a legit question.
That's
right?
Like, I don't think I'm going to be renting anybody's.
Airplanes fall out of the sky and women run away. So, from your position, what you just said, do you believe that it's better to rent than own?
I'm so amused by simpleton humor.
No, see, I'm an entrepreneur. I believe that it's good
Melanie,
to make money.
calm down over there with that
where
simpleton talk.
possible.
I'm sorry, I could only hear
man.
one of you guys at a time.
If she's gonna hoe, then you might as well be in a position to take advantage of that. Is what I'm saying.
I think
just
they
run
already
off,
do,
man.
don't they?
But,
well, most
like-
men are saying, "Oh, she's a hoe, so I'm not gonna mess with her." But as an
Steel man, are
entrepreneur,
you
you
a
say, "Oh,
pimp?
she's a hoe."
Are you
Well, let's
justifying
fucking
your
do-
own
let's make
actions
some
right
money.
now? Are you a pimp?
He
Well,
might
I'm
be a
saying
pimp.
nowadays you can make money legally, hoeing online and all that kind of shit with girls. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
OF.
I mean,
you got
the question
all
was,
those other
are
sites.
you a pimp, sir?
Well, now I'm a good father of children. But back in the day, before you're a parent and all that stuff, people do crazy shit.
I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, back in the day, before I remember those. I remember that back
I'm
in the
just saying
day.
that it could happen to anybody when they're young. You could do all kinds of crazy shit.
So
And it's not a big
basically, you're
deal.
admitting that you raised
By the way,
women's body
chat, there have
count
been no
everywhere.
super chats.
I'm not
Guys,
saying that I
there have been
did
no
that.
super
I'm
chats.
just-
We're running
I'm
out of
just
super
saying.
chats. You guys we're falling off. We're falling way
You
off.
all
Almost
disgust
offers.
me.
I mean, Grid. I mean, gentlemen. I mean, other gentlemen here who aren't named Steelman. Who among us hasn't gone through that phase before we settled down and had families where we had a bunch of women we pimped out for cash? I mean, who among us really?
Oh,
I never
shit.
went through that.
I did not. I got to be honest with you. I never did that.
Welcome to the chaos.
Me neither.
Channel.
I don't like to share. I don't like to
What
share
did
my.
I miss?
Grid said
I
he
did
was
it.
going to run the panel, so this is totally his fault.
I was the
That's
madame.
fair.
Okay.
I will say
fair.
that there were
Okay,
a
I have
couple
to
of
say something
times
though. There's
I
something
might
that
have
disgusts
pimped out
me.
a
Story
weed dealer
trippy.
or two.
Hey,
You know what I'm
bad
saying?
Gemini.
But
Seen you
there's
in a
something
long
that really
time.
disgusts me about men.
What up,
It's when
Gemini?
it's when they have a high body count. I think men should try to be virgins.
Wrong.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh my god.
Men should
what?
try to be virgins.
Yeah.
Wrong.
I don't wanna
Rage
rant
coming
for
in with
men,
the big
okay?
10 and says, couldn't ask for a better stepmom or mom for my kid. I'm blessed. This is beautiful. So, and I know I'm continuing the conversation from earlier, but my brain, as I was tending to my daughter and thinking about what Mel was saying earlier, and it just like really melted my brain a little bit more in a good way. Because this is beautiful. Wrongful rage. better stepmom or mom for my kid, right? So like I looked at the idea of when my daughter was first diagnosed, it broke my heart. I thought to myself, what did I do wrong? I fucked up. Like I'm a shitty parent. And the doctor, of course, is sitting there as they're telling us this diagnosis and everything. They're like, it's literally, there's nothing you could have done from the minute she was conceived to being born to anything that you did while she was raised. There's nothing you could have done. It was genetic. She got the marker. It happened. You're just going to have to accept it. There's nothing you could have done different her entire life, start to finish. And, you know, with that being said, like Mel, you had said, you know, what if you have the option as a mom, you know, to negate your option as being a mom? You know, basically we're talking about AB. And when the whole thing first happened and she was first diagnosed, I thought that very thought in my head of like, what if I never had her? Then she wouldn't have to go through all of this. And in the beginning, it fucking sucked. It sucked balls, big, giant, hairy, sweaty balls. It was the hardest thing I think her and I have had to go through together. And ensuring and life was going to be good and like trying to get into a part of like accepting this diagnosis. It was just miserable. It was fucking miserable. But now I look at her, right? And I see like, okay, there was this weird blip that we went through of hard shit. But before that, there was nothing. I wouldn't change that for the world. Even that little blip, I wouldn't change it for the world. And even now, even watching her thrive after being diagnosed with something that most adults wouldn't even willingly take on. And she's thriving in it. She was still able to do her sports. She's still able to go to school. She's still able to be an A student. Like she's still able to thrive in a shitty situation.
Hell yes.
And as a mother, like I wouldn't take any of that back for the world, even though it pushed me beyond my limitations. Like I had to check myself and test myself again and again and again and think like, am I being a good mom? Like, did I fuck up? Like, where did I go wrong? And then realizing like, I never went wrong. I stayed true to her. I kept her moving. I made sure that like she knew that all of her strength and support and everything that she had available to her was available to her. Like, and I still think I fuck it up every day, but she's still here. She's still thriving. And to think back when I first found out that I was even pregnant with her, that there would have been an option to negate all of these things, all of these joys and the beautiful young lady that she's turning into today. Fuck that. I would never take it back. Not for a second.
Sarah, you know, it's a little too late to drop her off at the fire station.
A little bit. Yeah. I missed the early
ask
part,
questions
Sarah.
now.
I missed the earlier part of the show. So when did you have your first kid?
I was 21 when I got pregnant with her, 22 when I had turned 22 and I had her a few months later. So, I mean, and that was pretty early, right? Like, especially for somebody who was like not wanting to have kids, all of those things. And then I had her and it was just like, I mean, it was an oh shit moment for sure. Like I thought my world was ending, but then she happened, she came and I was like, we're just going to be versatile. We're going to work with it. We worked with it. And I wouldn't change anything that I've done. Not a single minute of it. She's been the best thing that's ever happened to me my entire life. I was not saying my son's not great. Okay. Son's
children are a blessing.
She was the fire that got lit under my ass and said, you need to get this shit figured out now. And it was funny because I started my first semester of college when I got pregnant with her. And I was like, okay, this is God's way of saying, now you have to finish this. Bitch, I know you. I know you're not going to want to do this. You're going to finish it. And I did. All the way up to my master's. And I did it.
So nice.
I was 35 and had been married for I was 40 and had been married for 5 years when I had my first kid. I was 50 when I had my second.
Hey, did you say you got your master's?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah? That's cool. You did?
So a little different in my case.
You got your master's degree, Sarah?
Grid works with his hands. I work with my brain.
Oh yeah.
Although sometimes I doubt my brain.
Grid's just flexing that he's still a busy man at 50. That's all he's doing.
And I work people's brains with my hands.
But like,
good.
I mean, I really think about, like, I look back and I think, because I got bored with school. I got very bored with it. I felt like every class was just the same thing. Wash, rinse, repeat. Like, here's what we're going to learn about. You're going to research. You're going to write something about it. And you're going to tell me your opinion on it. And it was wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. You know, and so having my daughter kind of like fueled the flame of, you're not just doing this for you now. Now you have to do this because you have to be the example of, you know, we can do better, and we will always strive for the hardest. We're going to take on every challenge that comes our way. And look at what happened. A challenge came our way and we both got through it, you know, and I don't think that I would have been capable of doing that had I not had her at such an early age and faced every fucking challenge a single mom faces head on and still came out on top. You know, God put her in my life on purpose. He said, Sarah, shut up, sit down and listen. And I said, yes, sir. And I did. Like, and here she is. And it's tough. She's dealing with it. It's the hardest fucking thing. A 15-year-old girl. Like, imagine a 15-year-old girl finding out something that this is a lifetime diagnosis. By the way, it'll never change. Like, you will always have this. There's nothing you can do this to solve it. And all you can do is accommodate and create your world around it. And she did. She's versatile. She just works. She came into the punches and she said, fuck you. She knocked it out of the water.
You're smart, Sarah. You had yours younger. I waited later.
I waited even later.
So just to be clear,
You're
I'm
a
not
guy.
trying to
It's
make a
okay.
metric.
You can have them at 86.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're
Come
not
on
popping them out.
So
Yeah,
just to
it's
be
true.
clear,
My wife's
I'm not-
11 years younger than me. So.
I'm not
Hey,
trying
man,
to make a metric
see-
for who should and shouldn't have kids. That's not my goal.
That's
My
what I want
goal
to do.
is to have I want us to have a more honest conversation. First, in the realm of, if we're talking about the most ideal outcomes for all kids, regardless of where they come from and stuff like that, we want we want them to have to be in a family that planned for them. Like, for example, you're talking about your first kid. If somebody's has 3 and is on their 4th, and they don't have the income to support that, then that's a huge concern, right? Because you can't always just bring yourself more money after having a kid, but you certainly need to afford that kid somehow.
It sounds like an advocation for abortion, and I'm not down
Yeah,
with that.
I'm
so-
not down with
I got to actually. I'm
not
gonna
going
push
down
back
your rabbit
a lot
hole.
on that.
Calm down.
I don't.
So
if you have another kid,
wasn't
you will
listening.
find a way. You will work extra hours. You will get another job. You will do what it takes. All I hear is a bunch of fucking cope. And as a matter of fact,
no, that's the cope.
I'm
is
gonna
saying
I'm
you'll
gonna
find
cope.
a way.
I'm so sick of the cope. I'm gonna go bang my wife because it's 11 o'clock and that means I'm out of here.
TMI.
No, all right, like they say, picture it
I do
didn't
not
happen.
want to picture that.
Oh,
send
I guess
it.
we're on the
Yeah, I see the
opposite
picture.
spectrum here.
Well, good for you.
You
Chip.
guys have a great rest of your night.
You
Any
can
final
do
thoughts?
I'm gonna go do adult things with my wife, and you guys have a great evening doing.
We
Grid is
love you,
such a
Grid.
virgin.
Thank you, Grid. Thank
He
you
must
for
be
coming
watching
on.
Jeopardy.
And
Yeah, see you
shut
around,
up for a
Grid.
minute. I'm talking to Grid before he leaves. Grid, thank you for coming on and having the conversation with me one-on-one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was very nice of you, and much appreciation and respect to you.
Absolutely. You guys have a great night. I'm gonna go have fun.
See you tomorrow.
Have
Grid.
fun, man.
Yeah.
So I'll continue on what Grid was saying. So there's just something unique about men where if we're given like highly improbable, almost impossible problems, we overcome and solve them. And that would be the situation if an unexpected kid comes in, is that we will find the motivation, we'll find the power, we'll find resources to be able to take care of that kid.
It sounds like magical thinking. Like,
Not at
that
all.
would be ideal. And if that were the case, I'd be all for it.
It's
But
not
capitalism
magical
provides like hard realities of things,
thinking.
right?
That's
Like,
not magical thinking is not an argument.
Holy shit, there's a talking dog on panel.
How
Well,
Mel?
but
how-
the
Mel,
talking
how much
nine-tailed
new-
fox was normal to you?
What happened?
Mel, how much new shit do you think a family that already has 3 kids needs for a 4th kid?
Yeah,
Not
I
a
will.
deal.
I will say it actually gets cheaper the more you have
Yeah.
because
But if
the
you're already
amount of
maxed
hand me downs.
on 3.
For instance, we were a blended family when I got married. So my stepson was like what 7 or 8 when I had my son, and like all of those clothes got put away as he grew out of them. They just got put to, and we're actually just now tapping into wearing them because it was like, what's the point? You know, like I could just put them away and hold on to them for a few years and it'll work. Like the more you have, the cheaper and making like a pot of spaghetti. Well, okay, but you can breastfeed or tentatively, right?
My case, like we're talking about ideals here. My case is the ideal for my argument in the sense that if we're talking about a family that's maxed out in their finances here, economically speaking, there's only 2 choices. You can't afford a 4th child, or you're going to have to reduce the quality of living for your other 3 children, which just, again, looking at the research on this, will reduce their outcomes.
How about reducing the quality of life for the parents? A sacrifice for the kids.
Well, what if it's possible that they were already doing that?
Or you can just tell your
more.
kids that, you know, one of them's your favorite and the rest of them suck. So they get less food and, you know.
Once you hit 3, anything beyond that, like it's already you've already hit chaos max, right? Like the 3rd one is already, because now you're outnumbered.
That's why I'm trying to make it an economic thing of like affordability.
I mean, but as they get older, the more productive they become, and the needs change, right? So when you have a teenager, the needs change, and it's just being realistic to needs versus wants, and so on and so forth, right? But like as kids age and get older, all of their needs are they're moving around, right? Like
I thought you said like when they're teenager, it's like the hardest on you.
They are expensive. They're expensive, but if you're referring to wants versus needs, I mean, do they have clothes on their back and food in their bellies and they go to school? Where the expensive factor comes in is if they're involved. Like my daughter's involved in some pretty heavy sports. She's really big into that. Like she's getting recruited. Like all of sorts of crazy shit's going on. It's big. It's a big deal, but it's very fucking expensive to keep up with that big deal, right? So if you're doing things like that, that's where the money starts coming in. But if they're just going to school, they have clothes, they like once they hit, I don't know, their sophomore year, they kind of stop growing ish. Depends on if they're a boy or a girl. But like you're going into all sorts of different avenues, and it's going, you know, it's going to be like that. Oh, I'm going to put you boys next to each other. Let me read the super chat.
Everybody wear protection.
Let me read the super chat.
Everybody
first
wear
before anybody
protection.
talks.
I got
The Trib one comes in with a big 5 and says, when a kid falls through the cracks, is it meant to be, or was it the parent/support system that wasn't ready, or something else? I think that could go a lot of different ways. I think there are truly people out there that are, they became parents, but they didn't want to be parents, and then they, you know, do the fire station kind of concept. I think that those things happen, right? But at least we have avenues that people can take. But in addition to that, like that child still has the choice as they grow up to say, do I just want to be a victim of a parentless world, or do I want to go out and become the best fucking parent ever in my future and make something of myself so that I can be that, you know? And this is where it comes down to individuality and how you take things. Am I a victim, or am I just going to fucking take a consequence and roll with it and make the best of it? Anyways,
that's what I said earlier, Sarah.
Yeah, just
so many what, you know.
If I could, I'll get out of here. Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, actor.
Yeah, good evening.
After
I
evening.
just want to say, the rest of the conversation is dribble. I really just tuning it out. Star, your tits look fantastic.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
them
you.
on the full screen. I have nothing else to say except put those puppies right on the main screen. Leave them there.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Yeah, why don't you use them correctly too? I gotta get out of here.
Yes, dear. I know. It's porn only. I know.
He
but
came
I'm
on just to tell you that.
Yes, he says it all the time.
Wow, I would take that as a
Fantastic titty.
compliment. A man
I'm
comes-
taking it as a compliment. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Max, sir. Don't forget to get those headshots done and start doing some acting. You'd get some work. Trust me.
Oh,
Like, you know what? I was thinking about this the other day while I was in the bathroom in the shower with my weenie out.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want about Maxer, but that guy always has his hair done. You know,
He does.
he's
Yeah.
always,
Clean.
you know, trying to look his best.
Mm-hmm.
He's, you know, he's got his shit together in that aspect.
He's always working out.
Not meant to be a takedown or anything. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about always working out, but he's always working something. Wow, chicken, wow, wow.
Wow, wow. Brown chicken, brown cow.
That's
Bad
right.
Gemini. Neo Starling. Welcome, my friends.
I haven't heard Gemini say anything this whole time.
Well, he usually likes to wait and then he'll come in and roast. But Bad Gemini, let's start with you. Our stepdaddies, cucks, and our single moms ran through.
Dang, I hate disappointing y'all tonight. Look, there's no roast involved. I'm highly inebriated. That's why my head's been down. I would like to acknowledge everybody, but I can't even make proper eye contact except for boobs. You know what I'm saying? Apparently my eyes keep resting on boobs when they should be looking at everybody face to face. So let's apologize there. So just blame that on me being the man that I am. But anyhow, let's get off screen because she's blushing.
80 degrees over here. So
and if she turns
warm.
any red, she's going to pass out. So we won't do that to her. So I'm not going to roast. So with that being said, to answer your question, we're talking about stepdaddies, huh?
Stepdaddy. Are they cucks?
I mean, look, let me tell you, once you have the title daddy, you're the man to me. Because for some women, it means you my daddy, you dominate me. And for kids, that means you're the best person ever. So, I mean, I don't see any negativity in the word daddy, right? No matter what role you're playing. So, whether it's like, hey, daddy, oh, do your thing, or hey, Papa, hey, Daddy, I love you. Like, that's a win-win for me. So there's no negativity in that, right? Just if you're going to be a daddy, whether you're a playboy or your actual pops, just fulfill those needs to whoever that is, whether it's a child or it's some thirsty woman, or it may be a wife who enjoys calling you daddy. Right now, yes, Sarah's not thirsty unless that's oil. I don't know. First off, I don't even know where she got that oil from. It has a brown label. That oil, they don't even make those oil. She got that oil. That's from China. The fact that you have to get your oil from China has me very concerned. That means kids put that in the package and then send it to you for your pleasure. Like, that's very concerning right there. Okay, it's Johnson's. I'll give her a pass. But the other one was not Johnson.
Leftover
American
There's no Temu baby oil allowed over here.
No, no, you had a brown one. What was the other baby oil? You had two baby oils. Don't trick me. I saw another one. Don't play these games. Thank you. Pull it back up. Can you pull the other baby oil? You pulled up Johnson.
No, we made fun of King TL for having the cheap stuff.
I give him a pass.
I literally bought this in like bulk like 5 years ago. I have like 10 of these.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shout out to Steel Man. Steel Man, shout out to your lazy bang. I don't know if that's a properly term, but that's the terminology. You got a lazy bang. Shout out to the one straggler just hanging out there. You and your lazy bang doing the damn thing. Neo Sterling, I won't talk bad about him because the fact that you got both of the brothers at the right side of the bus, if I'm facing, not even the back of the bus, we're right here. Matter of fact, I should be on one end, he should be on one end, and we should make this a perfect Oreo sandwich. But you know what? I'm a rest by my brother.
It depends who the bus driver is. Is Wally the bus driver?
Let me tell you, you know who the bus driver is? Because now we're in modern society. Sarah's the bus driver because women are out here, they're empowered while complaining about it. I've never seen such an egregious women. Like, how can you be empowered and complain about it? That's the most stupid thing. I'm empowered, but I hate this. Like, that does not make any sense to me. So for me to stay back on task with the guys, shout out to these guys who are doing it. But there was a second part of your question, and I'll pass it on. You asked about the guys, are they cucks for being stepdads? But then what was the second part of the question, Sarah?
And then our single moms ran through.
I wouldn't say they ran through because some women were married, had kids, got divorced, and that was that. Like, it was not a run through. It's just, I'm a single mom. It's not like every single mom had 50 guys and became a single mom. It's like, hey, it didn't work out, but I'm gonna hold my own. So the single mom ran through part, that's more like a stretch. And if you're saying ran through in terms of viability, like can another guy be with them and love them? I believe so. Now, if you are a thirsty single mom that's been ran through, then that's a different demographic. But that's a minor part in this big landscape. I don't think single mans are. Yeah, I don't think they're ran through. I just think some people thinks they're not as desirable, but single women are not ran through. So that's that. And I know Neo wants to say a lot, and I'm done.
Thank you.
Well said, sir.
That was very powerful. Can y'all hear me, by the way? I just
Voice of wisdom among fools.
He's just trying to pick up low-hanging fruit.
Hope everybody's doing well. I just got out of the job and then the gym, so I'm a little tired right now. But all right. So I believe
don't make excuses.
Hey, listen, lady, I'm speaking. Okay. So I believe the question was: our fathers, our stepdads, cucks, right? Was that the first part of the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think it depends under the circumstances. Earlier when I started listening to the Red Pill me would have said yes, but I think it's a little more nuanced than that because it depends on the relationship you have with the single mother. Are you respected? Are you actually valued? Does she treat you like, does she give you control in terms of helping to raise a child, or does she just utilizes you as like a human wallet? And then, you're always just giving to the kids, but you can't ever discipline, you can't ever say anything to them. I think if you have a really good, respectful connection with each other, then I don't think it makes you a cut, honestly, because realistically, what if she became a single mom because the dude died or something like that happened? Like, it's not always because they chose wrong. That's not always the circumstance. So to answer the first part of the question, it really does depend. Although if a guy is being taken advantage of willingly, and he's just kind of like, well, I just rather be with someone than be alone, then yes, that does make you a cuck. But other than that, if you have like a genuine connection with that person, because single moms, just like single dads, they deserve love too. I don't see any reason to completely single them out and just, put them in a little box and bury them somewhere, never to be seen again. I don't think that's necessary.
Neo, I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
Does it really matter what other people think?
No, it doesn't.
Then why are we slamming all these titles on people and expecting them to live to some kind of standard of whatever a cuck is or isn't? It's a personal choice of what you're going to do with your life, right?
Well, my personal opinion on how anyone lives their life is irrelevant, quite frankly. I'm only utilizing this in terms of the question that Sarah is asking. So if you are a man that does get taken advantage of, whether you are in my friend group or not, and you're willingly being taken advantage of, then yes, that would make you a cuck. That's why I kind of...
Isn't that more of a simp?
It could be a little bit of both, yeah. Column A, column B. Same difference in my opinion, because if you're that type of person that you willingly allow yourself to be put down constantly, but on the other hand, you're raising their children, so there should be some degree of respect there. You know what I mean?
There's another word for all of that past all these new terminologies. It's called a doormat.
Well, yeah,
You just want to be a doormat for people, then, hey, there's always going to be somebody willing to take advantage of it.
Hey, look, there's doormats, there's pay pigs, there's all types of people that are willing to allow themselves to be degraded in the utmost tier, but that's not really the average person. You know what I mean? Now, for the second part of the question,
by the way, folks, we love our pay pigs here at the Raging Tomato.
I need a motherfucking pay pig.
I need at least two. Contact me. I'll abuse you all the way you want. Trust me.
Oh God. Not to pile on, but I was using a dating app once, and they had this section where it's like the best part of dating me is blank, and I wrote in, well, I'm a good single dad, so it's socially acceptable to call me daddy in public, and no one will question you.
That's pretty good. I like that.
And I got hits off of that. Let me tell you, that got attention.
Hey, daddy.
That's a very visceral way of using the saying, I got hits.
Oh, yeah.
But
messages, whatever.
Before I forget my thought here.
Go ahead, Neo.
I just want to finish up, and then we can go crazy.
Oh, that's what she said.
So in terms of what was the second part? Are single mothers like used up?
Are we ran through?
That also depends. If let's say you were a teenager and you had sex one time and then you got pregnant, and now you're spending the rest of your adult life taking care of that kid. I wouldn't say so. But if you willingly know that you want to go out to like bars and clubs every weekend and you want to get like smashed out by like every Tom, Dick, and Harry, then yes, I would say you are in that situation ran through. And once more, the red pill argument, because I'm not a red pillar. The red pill argument is always you chose this man, right? Like this is always the thing. You chose this man. Well, no, sometimes you didn't choose that man, because sometimes when you meet someone, you are being introduced to their ambassador. You don't really know who they are yet. You can't dictate who somebody is in the first few months, maybe even close to a year. When you start living together, your mannerisms, the way you treat each other, those things all change over time. So it's not always about whether you chose bad. Sometimes that person could have flipped the script. They could have been acting like a completely innocent person just to get in your pants. And once they felt that they utilized you enough, they just want to dip, bamoosh, disappear into the ether, but that's always not the case either. Sometimes, you do choose bad. But what if dude died? You know what I mean? She became a single mom by default just because the dude's not around anymore. And so there's a million different reasons why someone can be a single mom. But if you can't keep your pants on, and you constantly have to get that validation, and you have to feel the need to feel your innards pressed by different men, then yes, you would be used up in that type of situation. But there's nuance to it always. I'm done.
Yeah, because I think in my dating experience, I've noticed I have a bullshit filter for the terms I see all the time that will align with how people actually behave when you meet them in person. So like if I see a profile, it's like first thing is single mom, not here just looking for a hookup. If that's all you're after, move on. Yeah, she'll definitely let you have it on the first date. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what ends up happening in most of those cases.
Man, Wally, you have so much experience on this topic. It's great.
No, I have a couple kids.
By the way, is everyone here a parent?
My damn power flickered.
I have cat children.
Cat children? Those count.
Yeah.
See, I joined the stream because I don't have any kids.
I thought that was a pet owner.
That was my fault.
Have pets?
Well, you got to feed your pets. You got to clean up after them. You got to wash them once in a while. I think that's pretty analogous.
I will kill anybody who harms my babies.
I did have a stepdad though.
Oh, see,
having step parents doesn't always have to be bad. Like look at Joe Rogan. He had a stepfather, and he speaks very highly of him, and he became successful. He didn't become some random statistic that just went off shooting everybody. It varies.
No, but what if he did?
If he did, well, then he would have been a bad example.
Probably some alternate reality somewhere.
Then
There's just Joe Rogan blasting folks.
Just a number. Who cares? No, numerology guy. We have to ask numerology guy what it means when you just become a statistic.
Well, you know what though? And then that's like the thing for me is like I refuse to become a statistic. Everything that they say I'll do, that's even more reason for me to like go against the grain. And I don't think that every statistic understands. Like statistics refuse to recognize the human element. Right? Like, yeah, we could all be in this position at some degree in our life, but that doesn't mean that we all got in that position the same way, or that our way out of that position is the same exit solution, or so on and so forth. I think that that's the piece that's kind of missing, is the human element, is we all make decisions and do different things, and it all happens very differently.
I partially agree with you, by the way, but I think that's why I was appealing more to, like, if you're possibly going to be a parent, like kind of like looking within and being like, again, beyond the fear of the unknown, do I have anything I know might negatively impact this child that I can't keep them safe from?
Then go through therapy.
Well enough.
Then go through therapy and fix your shit.
But then you do that first and then have a child, right? So I'd agree there.
No, not always. That's not why.
Stop it. Children will make you go to therapy if you're not ready.
If that's the case, then nobody would have kids.
There's no such thing as perfection.
I mean,
no one's asking for perfection, but
or idealistic. Life is just life.
I mean, I kind of just I can't do worse.
You either sink or swim in all of these instances. It doesn't matter whether you're having a child, getting married, being single, whatever the case may be. You're either going to sink or swim. How do you know, Mel? How do you know that you're going to be a great person? How do you know that you're going to be a great employee? How do you know you're going to be a great student?
It is about that.
It's that you spend your whole life trying to keep a child safe, right?
But Okay, I mean, but you have to spend your whole life trying to keep yourself safe. We all do.
Okay, and
we
that's
all take risks. We all
my point. My point is more that if you're going to spend your entire life keeping them safe, trying to keep them safe, but you don't think you can keep them safe from yourself, isn't that self-defeating?
No parent thinks that they can keep their children safe from this.
Wait, if you're talking about keeping them safe from yourself, something else is going on in the background. You should not be having children at that point. So,
Well, like for alcoholism, for example, right? It's really hard to keep that from affecting your kids. Even if you're a functional alcoholic, they're going to pick up on cues like seeing that you drink more when you're under emotional distress, and that can affect them.
Well, you can also circumvent that by making a conscious effort to possibly not drink around them. Or if you're going to drink, go visit friends. And
that's not how alcoholism works, but good
but
on you.
But who's the
Melanie?
Adult? Who's the adult?
Hold on, Melanie. Did you not say a functioning alcoholic?
Oh yeah, functioning, but it doesn't, like when you're in your home setting, like many alcoholics, tend to drink.
Yeah, but if you're
functioning,
functioning,
it's an impulsive.
If you're functioning,
you're an alcoholic,
you have
it's
that
still an
wherewithal
impulsive
to be like,
thing.
okay, let me just chill. You know what I mean? I mean, some of them wouldn't give a crap, obviously, but I would say someone that's functioning in any vice that they do would kind of have that wherewithal to be like, okay, let me not do this in this setting at this moment. Like if you smoke marijuana in your house, the herb, right? Herbal essence. If you smoke the herbal essence at home, maybe you go to a different room and you have a fan where you're like blowing it out so that it doesn't like consume your entire household, and I would say that you can't keep a child safe 100% of the time. They're going to grow. They're going to have their own experiences. The second they go to school, the game changes. You could only affect so much of of how they're going to be raised and the values that you give them based off of the amount of time you spend with them. But once they're in school and they develop their own friendships, they develop different connections outside of you, they turn into teenagers, suddenly you're not on the priority list for them. Their friends take priority. You can't keep them safe from everything. So, there's risk in life.
What if you
it starts with the parents
for those things? What if you homeschool, and you actually are vigilant about who your children become friends with and hang out with, and you meet their parents, and you it's maybe not within our culture, but like you could say some cultures are more like that you could incorporate into our culture, like aspects like that,
Yeah.
Then it could override those things, is what I'm saying.
Sarah
so those
needs
aren't
to
like
read
absolutes.
a super chat.
Wrong for Rage coming in with the Big 10 says, Furby, 10 in the back. I'm out. I got a donut to Riz. I want to know what kind of donut you're rizzing. Furby, you're going back for 10 minutes. But that donut sounds especially enticing at this point. If you gotta go out to be able to riz that donut.
Sarah, let's blow through the bullshit. Like, you've got all these what ifs and these presupposings from this Melanie the Fox person who's getting on my nerves, quite frankly, with some of these ridiculous questions. Like, you're trying to say that because you have an alcoholic family or a parent, that parent shouldn't have children, but you're not taking in consideration the human condition that can rise above all of that. It's called adversity. It's called sink or swim, adapt or die. Like, grow a set of balls. I thought you had a pair, didn't you, Melanie, at one point? Like, come on. Like, come on.
But I think Melanie's point is that not
matter of
I'm going to leave here in a second, but let's get through the nut cutting. Like, this is not about everything being perfect.
I think at the end of the day is you can either live with your fears and sit there with them and let them harness everything about you, take over everything, prevent you from having children.
Yes.
You can sit with those fears and let it rule your life, or you can get over yourself and say, you know what, because I saw this happen, because I recognize this thing, because of this, because of that, I'm going to protect my child even more. And therefore, I'm going to ensure that they're not around this, they're not around that. They don't have to see these kinds of things. They don't have to experience those kinds of things, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. So, for instance, in terms of alcoholism, if I saw that, maybe I experienced alcoholism from my parents or something like that, and I get pregnant and have a child, I'm going to ensure they never, ever have to deal with that kind of stuff, right? Because if that is a fear that my child would have to deal with that, then I'm going to go through extra lengths to ensure that they never have to worry about that in their lives. Because I saw it and I know what it looks like and I deal with it and I see the consequences, X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. So as a parent, your job is to protect, you know, and so you carry that forward.
Sarah, hold on real quick. Sarah,
Yes,
Nova.
baby.
Yes, sir.
I know you're beautiful, but when she's saying yes, baby, it makes me take a complete pause. I'm going to pretend that I'm focused while being unfocused.
Okay.
One thing I do understand is she had an applicator for her lip gloss. She put it on, but she had a whole applicator. It had the little brush at the tip, and she rubbed it on there. So I was like, dang, I'm paying too much attention. So with me paying attention, I understand one thing. When we're talking about the extremes of alcoholism, like that's an extreme, because we have to understand there are some parents that drink and smoke, but we're talking about dysfunction. Like that's when you go to the next level. Like if somebody sees their parent drink every day and they see somebody who's suffering from alcoholism drink every day, all they know is that parent drinks every day. The difference is when you're talking about alcoholism, there's a belligerent behavior. There's a dismissing the kids, dismissing the spouse, whoever it may be. There's an irate behavior. There's just a frustration. There's a depression. A father, a mother can drink wine, bourbon, and be casual about it. And so we have to get into the nuances. So when people are talking about alcoholism and all of that, some kids see a parent smoke and it's nothing to them because the parent is still attentive, loving, and caring. It's when the person takes these things and makes them precedent over their children is when you have to be really concerned, because now you're like, okay, the child is second to my device, right? And so that's why I don't get caught up in that. I've seen many situations where you like, because you always hear the whole analogy, you have two twins raised in the house. One says, I didn't become an alcoholic because I didn't want to be my father. And then the other one says, I became an alcoholic because that's all I saw from my father. That means they were able to distinguish what they want to do within that. And so we can't act like everything is a full guaranteed 100%. If you are on marijuana, if you are drinking all this booze, I will become that. It's all about how you are nourishing that child, right? And giving them everything that they need to be successful despite your dysfunction, right? And so that's why I don't get mad about that, especially when you're talking about people who are not parents, because everybody who's a parent understand, like, I came into this thing flawed and I'm okay with that. And guess what? It's a multi-flaw situation. It's not one way. You're dealing with the flaws of you as a parent and you're dealing with the flaws of your children, because they will show a whole bunch of flaws to you, like I should bust you upside your head, and you both are learning how to deal with each other's flaws if it's a true balanced relationship. So that's how I look at it.
No, I totally agree. Let me read these real quick. Trib One coming to the Big Five says, people like Nova assuming it'll all work out when we know that isn't the case. It doesn't mean you don't try, but it does mean you should weigh options. Well, I mean, and Nova, maybe you'll want to speak for yourself, but to me, the option is not to just negate a life, because you don't know until you fucking try. Right. I mean, if nobody was willing to try, human society would have stopped a long time ago, because nobody would want to be a fucking parent. All it is like work. And then you're getting like, then your kids constantly believe you're stupid, right? Because like your mom, like, you're not cool, you're not
disrespectful.
This, you don't understand, you know, and it's constantly like you're always trying to rise above every single day. And so if that was the case, Trip, I hear what you're saying, but there are no options in my head. The only options you have are
move forward.
Like, am I going to dress you in pink or am I going to dress you in blue?
It's move forward. That's the option.
And it's not even like necessarily an option.
Work through the shit. You know, some of these, you know what, Sarah, some of these people, you know, they act like, you know, war never happened, and you've got children from war, right, who lived through those situations, whether it's the Holocaust and whatnot. Either you're going to move ahead and live your life, or you're going to look for your safe space and your little trophies. So, I know you got an opinion there, Tribe, but everybody's got an asshole and an opinion. So one and the same to me.
So
I got,
yeah,
two
it's a
things,
matter
actually.
of it's a real matter of perspective, because something that definitely helped me was going into having my son was to look at my parents and say, you know what, at least I actually have the benefit of a very bad example that I'm not gonna follow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of,
same.
Oh my God, this is crushing me. How can I get out from underneath all this baggage? It's like, no, you just don't repeat what they did to you, and it's fairly straightforward at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, Nova complained that she's hearing a lot of what ifs. I'm going to complain that I'm hearing a lot of wishful thinking here. Like, again, this would all be great if it were true, but Gemini brought up twins in the household, for example. That's referring to something called twin studies, which is actually done to see if there are differences in these things. What he said applies more to fraternal twins than identical twins, showing that the effect is actually probably from a difference in the time they were born, less so than them actually, being born and raised in the same conditions. For the most part, I'm not.
You have a lot of great people who are born and
tried to say that,
great things.
You tried to say, Nova, you tried to say incorrectly that this is some sort of justification for who shouldn't have children. This is, and I'm going to repeat this for the third time now. This is not a metric for who can and cannot have kids. This is about having honest discussions about, are certain people prepared to prevent harming their kids based on intrinsic things that they can recognize in themselves, red flags, things that. If you're going to spend your life, as I said before, protecting this child from things, don't you think you should be able to protect them from yourself? And so I agree with you when you said that they should get therapy. I disagree that they should get therapy while having a kid, because that increased stressors and all those things are just going to make the therapy less effective. There's no perfection, I agree, but there is an ideal.
Well, Mel, I brought you back up to kind of touch on this. So I'm
and thank you, Tiki Tack.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a product of an abusive alcoholic father. And when I think back, if my father had the attitude of, oh, he wouldn't be a good parent because of his alcoholism, I wouldn't be here. And if I had a choice to influence him in any sort of way, I would still have him make the choice to have me and grow up, because I wouldn't be the person I am now without that. So I am the worst case scenario, and yeah, it was a struggle, but generally it worked out fine, and I'm able to actually have kids and be able to raise them better than what my parents ever could. And I think that's all you really need to accomplish, is just being a little bit better of a parent than your last parent, and just keep continuing that chain. So on this, I guess my question to you would be, if you could influence the outcome of your birth, would you choose to not be born, or would you choose to go through your life again?
Only if I knew what I knew now. My life was fucking hell. I would not even wish that on my worst enemies. Sorry, one sec. My one thing is, like, I don't want to put this in a way that makes you sound abusive, of course, but you did frame it as yourself. So I'm going to try to detach it, but please try not to take this personally, is all I'm going to say. Is that, like, if you're going to say, like, you came from an abusive family and then you do slightly better, that also translates to you're slightly less abusive, right? And I don't think slightly less abusive is necessarily better. You shouldn't be abusive at all.
Yeah, but I'm not suggesting that it'll only be just slightly less abusive. It's the fact that we're able to identify the flaws of our parents, be able to overcome those particular metrics. Like, it could just be something as simple as, I don't drink, because the drinking is what caused the abuse. And that one step of not drinking is literally just a small step comparatively to have a better outcome for my children.
Sure, this is why what I'm saying.
We get into philosophical discussion.
I need to respond to Tiki real quick, though. Sure, like, I hear what you're saying, and this is why what I'm talking about is more like an internal kind of like self-reflection of, if you think that you can learn from your parent and you see that you don't have any desire to drink alcohol. I'm kind of the same way with certain things. I was raised on Ritalin. I can't stand it anymore. Not all these things turn out to be true, of course, but if you know that you can do that, that's fine. But if you see yourself drinking compulsively, like your father or your mother did, then you can't necessarily tell yourself that you can protect your child from that. And going back to what Gemini said about functional alcoholics, by the way, this is like, of course, casual drinking does not apply here. But one of the things is like, if you hide that from your child, one of the ways that manifests, and this is talked about a lot in the literature on alcoholism and children, is that there's often will manifest as an irritation to the child's presence, and they'll pick up on that, like, oh, my parents don't really want me around for some reason. They want me to go out all the time or to be preoccupied. What the fuck's with that?
Okay. Hold on. Let me back it up here. Mel, you keep talking about the choice of a parent for having a child, but I think the real choice comes to the child in what they're going to do with the information being delivered to them, right? But they deserve the choice, not the parent. After that point of like, I've conceived, a baby is coming, X, Y, and Z, like, you already made your choice. You made your fucking choice. Whether that was a boo-boo, a drunk night, I got married, whatever the case may be, you already clearly made your choice. If you don't want to have children, don't do the fucking deed that makes children, right?
Abstinence.
Hold on for a second.
Let's just forget the fact that we have sex for pleasure.
Bear with me for a second. You made the choice. Okay? Now a baby is being brought into the world. Now give that kid the choice in what they want to do with their life. By you making a choice any point after that, you have removed the choice of that child, and they deserve that choice to go forward, choosing how they want to live their life based on the information of you being fed into them, right? They can choose to do better. They can choose to do worse. They can choose that life is always victimization, whatever. But Melanie, you are here because somebody made a choice to give you the choice.
The developmental impacts that you have on your child could actually limit their choices, right? So like growing up in a neglectful environment very much limits how much you can socialize with the world around you, for example, which goes against the notion that like you can get these things from the community just as easily.
You're preoccupied.
I could not respond to Sarah. So she wanted to finish. I
couldn't respond to Mel.
So I just need to. I just wanted to hit my bell. Disagree with the fact that having sex is a decision to have a child. People have sex to have pleasure all the time. It is not a decision to have a child. That is different.
Yeah, but the thing is
that you know what happens when you have sex, right?
You have
what could happen. Like the consequences. The consequences of having sex. Stop for a second. The consequences for having sex for pleasure, you know what could come of it. So you make that choice of, do I value this pleasure over the value of having the choice to have a child?
Well, I don't think we need to punish people for having sex.
There are so many other ways to get around.
There's consequences for actions.
That you have to recognize that.
I don't even think this argument matters.
But stop. But
so that's not a necessary consequence at all.
This is the crux of where she stands, of that parents who don't want to be parents should have the choice to be babies so that they don't no longer have to deal with being a good parent because they don't think they're going to be a good parent.
None of my arguments rely on that, just to be clear.
But that is where you stood earlier. That is where you stood. That's where this whole conversation kind of delved.
Just as like an aside, it's not impingent on any of the other things I said at all.
Well, look, you got the pull-out method. You can use the sidle. I don't want to say the whole thing. And lube, and then you can also, there's other options to finish in.
But
you can do butt stuff.
These arguments don't even really matter. These arguments don't really matter because ultimately the arguments that you're making or the philosophies you're making for people to the choices for them to make would essentially cause myself and you, Melanie, to not exist. If your parents decided to run with your philosophy and knew that they were going to be bad parents, myself and you just would not exist. And personally, I'd rather exist. So I'm not going to go with your philosophy.
I mean, the only reason you want to exist is because you do exist. If you never existed, you wouldn't have the capacity to wish you exist. So it's kind of like, I know it's very nihilistic, but
it is nihilistic.
And I'm glad you exist. Just to be
y'all
clear,
killing me right now. Gosh, dog, I have to be. You know what? Bad Gemini is activated. I try to be sophisticated and listen to these arguments. Damn it, I'm going hood. I can't listen to this nonsense. It's too scientific for me. I hate science for this very reason. I hate it. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
Where's Pluto? Pluto is gone. We don't have a planet called Pluto. Thank you, science. Look, all I'm saying is when it comes to this damn situation, if you're a parent, you understand what it is. Science does not apply to being a parent because there are so many lefts, rights when you thought everything should have been straight. I just want to be on the straight path. There's lefts and right. I don't care about right. Some people are like, oh, I wanted to go right. I don't want to go right or left. I just want to stay straight. And when you parent, it's going right and left when it's like, damn, why isn't everything straight like I hoped it would be? All this doesn't matter. The thing is, once your child is born, you be the best individual you can. Because guess what? You could be a perfect individual and your child could be a hellion. Now, do you blame yourself as a parent because your child is a hellion and you did everything right? No, because you have societal factors, you have peer pressure, you have influence from every aspect of life. So it's not even all about you as a parent. That's when you're starting to be egotistical, where it's like, I can navigate and control every aspect of my child's life. No, that's a fraction of it, because you can do everything right, and then guess what? These outside influences come and steal your perfect angel, whether her or she, and they become a hellion. Do you think these kids that shot up these schools, that's what their parents are? I want to raise a vigilante to come out here and terrorize and cause all this terror in these schools. No, these parents are shocked too, because they're like, from what I knew, Bobby, what I knew, Melissa, they were great kids. They did everything right. I didn't know they would do this. They're just as stunned because from their for their mindset, they're like, I did everything right. So it shows you that you can do everything right and everything still goes astray. So all the science stuff, I don't care about it.
Yeah, you can do everything right and you can still end up with a flip.
You talking about basic stuff. Should a child get what are you talking about?
Gemini, you followed up on what I said.
To go to with a lunch? Like what you stop it.
Look, I mentioned earlier about not being like your parents. Like if I wanted to be just like my stepdad, I'd be black and a drunk. And I didn't do either one.
Hey, shout out to him. Because I'm half of that. I'm the black part and I'm half drunk. So I'm 3/4 of what you just described. So
honestly, you would not have liked him.
Listen, this is the way I look at it. It's almost like trying to read somebody's thoughts. You can't. You also can't predict the future and how you're going to act going forward. If you, let's say, did not want a child, but they came into fruition because you said, hey, you know what? I decided to keep this creature and I'm going to raise them into a full-grown human being. If you decided to make that decision, everything else that happens going forward, it's not about your mental state anymore. It's not about whether you can afford it. It's about making sure that that child grows up to be a decent member of society. However, there are a lot of factors that could play into this. What if the child has some sort of mental illness? That's something you still, as a parent, are going to have to ultimately deal with. You can't predict what happens to children. You can have the most healthiest kid in the world and something bad happens to them. You can get hit by a car. You know, you can... a plethora of different things can happen to us throughout the course of our existence. We can, deliberate on whether or not, if we were born or not, things would have been better off, or if us trying to have the foresight to dictate whether we should have children or not. We could think about that all day, but once you do the action, it comes to pass. You could read a book and you can educate yourself on statistics and you can educate yourself on the history of the world. But ultimately, when it's all said and done, reading the book is not the same as living it. So there's going to be a ton of different factors when it comes to that.
I have a question.
My statements are different
for all
than
of
the
us.
fear of the unknown, right? This is about the fear of the known and the thing that, like, without like intervention of some sort, you probably can't avoid. Like,
hold on, Trippy. 1 second.
First, to be able to protect the child from this.
I'll reach over there.
Hold on. You know,
what are you reaching for?
Okay, Melanie Fox, look, it's coming down to your own dysfunction. You understand that? You're projecting all of that out onto the rest of society and all the rest of us.
We're all using anecdotes tonight.
You do realize that's what you're doing, right? And I'm not going to live my life according to what it is that you think. And quite frankly, compared to
And I think you're giving bad advice.
not compared to most people, I'm a tough fucking broad. Okay, I've seen the life of the elephant called life. So nothing you're saying to me is going to move me or shake me. Your opinion is nefarious at best. Okay,
I've been through the school of hard knocks, lady. Like, come on, I've seen life too. I've had.
And
to
I just
fucking live
said
it.
to you, you need to deal with your own personal issues because you're projecting that shit onto the rest of society. You understand me?
Well, I'm not
Go
the
deal.
only
Go deal
person-
with your head.
I'm not the only person who knows that.
Work
I won't
it
be a
out.
good parent.
Work it out.
I
I am a
guarantee-
parent.
I guarantee
No,
you.
I am a parent.
basically, Mel, if you live your life in fear of being a parent, and
That's not that again. That's fear of the unknown. Again, I'm talking about the fear of, like, say your parent was an alcohol. You have compulsive drinking issues. You know you can't just stop
Oh
because,
God,
because you get a
you're
child.
so repetitive.
But that is
All right.
a personal that is a personal decision, right? If you end up taking on alcoholism because your parents were alcoholism, and you try to blame
always, no.
your parents because they were alcoholics and therefore you're an alcoholic, like you are just making yourself the victim of any story.
No, you
And
can't.
then-
You can't say these people always have a choice. Like the impulse.
You do have
to
a
do it is
choice.
You do have a
learned
choice.
You do
behavior.
have a choice.
No, their
I know
impulse
that
to
that's
do it.
Children have
we-
a choice.
Their
we-
impulse to do it is a learned behavior because they see their parents doing it as a
Oh,
response
that's
to emotional
called a
distress.
fucking excuse. That's an excuse you're using.
No,
I mean,
are you heading out?
study that.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave. I can't.
That is what the
stand
twin
it.
studies
You
reveal.
want to
Jim.
give your final thoughts before you go?
My final thoughts is have kids, enjoy them. They're a blessing. It's going to be a chance. You don't know what you're going to get. Do your best, have morals and live your fucking life and don't care what other people have to say. How about that? Visit School of Thought for more.
Based.
Y'all been wonderful. You look lovely, Sarah. Wonderful to see you again, Gemini. See
I
you
guess
later.
I just don't look lovely.
You're
It's fine.
You look lovely
I
too,
know.
clown. Mwah.
I never
Sexy
change.
mama.
I
Yeah,
always wear the same
By
clothes.
the way,
so I
I'm
always look good.
glad everyone here is happy with their decisions to have kids. I'm going to say this for the third time. I cannot negate that with anything that I'm saying here. I do not intend to negate that, of course. I only intend to talk about sometimes it's good to have an honest discussion about, like, should I really have a kid or not?
I can give you some perspective on that. So, me and my girl, we spoke about children once, and she told me, "Hey, if you want a kid, I'll have one with you if you want one." And at that moment, I told her, "Nah, let's get a dog," because the fact that you're telling me that you'll give me a child if I want one means that you yourself do not want one. You're only willing to do it if I want it. So from my
Can
perspective,
it mean that she just wants both parents to want the child and not just herself?
No. She said specifically, if you want one, I would have one. But otherwise, she's like indifferent to it. So in my perspective, that's okay. We don't need to have a child. We already. All right. The way I look at that is, if we're not both 100%, hey, we both want to have a kid, then we shouldn't be having a kid because we're.
I don't agree with that.
Harm. You know what I mean?
Well, I have a panel question, I guess. Can any of us here say that we were planned, or are we all mistakes?
We're all mistakes.
I'm definitely a mistake. There's no way my mom thought my father would be a good dad. There's no way.
My two children are.
And you like your kid better than you like other people's kids. I mean, I was completely indifferent to kids before I had mine. So
I
my
hate
mom
kids.
thought her tubes
Still
were
am
tied.
to a lot of them. Like other people's
I
kids.
hate
are
everybody's
totally
kids except
You hear
for
me?
my own.
Yeah, my mom's tubes were tied, but then they weren't. So I just kind of squeaked my way out, eh?
That explains a lot.
That must have been a
Yeah,
powerful
right.
load.
Andy went in the back door. I mean, what?
And to be clear, right? I would be willing to have a child. I'm not against having children, but I need to make sure that the person that I am with is lockstep, 100%. There can't be any doubt. There can't be if you want it, I'll do it. Because to
So
me,
you're
that's
saying
how
you're
a lot
never
of
going to have
families
kids?
start. What was that?
You're never going to have kids, then you don't get that luxury.
Probably not. Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I've made my bed when it comes to that, honestly, because if we were to have one for whatever reason, I'll be there. Of course, I'll be there. I was abandoned. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't want to place that onto somebody else. I would never abandon a child, especially my own child, be it that. But I just think that having conversations with whoever you're with about having children is also a good way to sort of circumvent a lot of bad planning going forward. That can also help. You either want them or you don't, but if you have them, love them anyway.
I think
Leo,
people need to recognize that.
Go ahead, stop trying to plan for kids. That will never Yeah, hold on, let me sit on that.
This is how babies
She actually sat up and then leaned back. So I don't know what that means, but somebody got excited. Can you pull out your lube again, Sarah, so it make more sense because it's a dry situation.
You
There
know
it
that, like,
is.
family
Now,
planning is a
now
thing,
flow
though, right?
state. Can you do that with your fingers again? Now that she has a lube, because now it's warranted. Everything is lathered up. And then give me the 2-finger special since she's right above
not
you.
drunk enough for
And
this.
then there it is. There it
Not
is. It's
either.
perfect.
Yep,
There
yep.
it
But
is.
Glad
in
the
any
audience
event,
enjoyed that.
like you cannot plan for kids.
Yeah.
No, family
Every
planning
time
is a
you
thing.
try to plan for
People do
kids,
that.
like you're just never gonna have kids. End of story.
Sarah, your
Because
hands are way too wet for me to take you seriously right now.
But no, Sarah, like I agree that you can't plan out every single thing that's going to happen. Obviously, no one's saying that you should do that, but you can plan. Like, do we have enough money in our budget to afford what is
you'll
normally?
never have enough money
You'll
for a
never-
kid.
you'll
I'm
never
telling
feel like
you
you're
that
rich
right
enough.
now.
I have enough
So-
money.
So let's put it this way.
Every
you think
time I
Elon
think
Musk
that
can?
my daughter is going to like stop needing something else, she ends up needing something else, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like it's
do you think,
never
do you
ending.
think Elon Musk can like at least assume he can budget to pay for the food
And look at him,
the
his kids hate him.
clothes and the basic needs for his
Oh my
kids?
gosh.
That he has enough money
Yeah.
for that? Yes,
That's
right.
an
He-
extreme example, though. Like
No,
the
but-
average
but-
person.
I'm not
always
denying
feels like
it's
he
an
can't
extreme
afford it.
example, but hear me out. There's a whole range of people who can decide, yes, I'm going to have enough money, enough overhead
You
right
think
now
rich kids
to
turn
pay
out
for
better
that
than
extra
poor kids?
stuff.
Hey,
if
Melanie,
you do that, you're
Melanie,
family planning. If you do
look.
that, you're family planning. It's really easy.
Melanie, they say I
Okay.
was hard on you, so I'm going to behave. I apologize. Like when I
Oh,
listen to
this
you,
was-
you have a lot of insight, and I like how you think. Like, but the problem I have is it's like getting stabbed with a butter knife. Like somebody give me a shank, a gun. Can we get this over with? Like
Hey.
this thing here, getting stabbed with this butter knife. It's too long. Like I can't endure all of this.
Come on,
Like
dude,
finish me off. Like I don't need a butter knife stabbing me 50
Gemini, stop
times when
getting
you
hard on
shanking me.
Stop getting hard on people, okay? Stop getting hard on people. That's how they got you thrown off that bus. Remember that? Remember that?
Let me tell you, but
You got
I
thrown off a
like.
bus.
Look, I've been thrown off of many things, out of bad relationships too. Look, I know one thing though. It's not even about the kids, right? Because before you can get to the kids, it always starts with the people who has the kids. Like we're talking about the kids, but let's be honest. Your dysfunction or everything you're talking about starts with the people who had the kids. Before kids ever arrive on the scene, it starts with the individuals that are having the kids. Their mindset, the circumstances, whatever. It's not perfect. Everybody's not married. Everybody doesn't want them when it happens. But once they arrive, who stands up to the table? Because I know one thing. You have people who are married and they're like, I'm not equipped for this. And you have people who say, you know what, I never wanted a kid, but I'm going to give it every damn thing I have, and they're great parents. So it starts there first. So we can't act like every situation is ideal, and because it's ideal, now that means the results are ideal. The results can start in utter dysfunction, and it has the most beautiful thing that ever happened in life. Do you hear all these people who are successful? No. Because you say anecdotal, and I forget science. When you listen to all these stories of all these people who like the most successful people, a lot of them will say, man, it was dysfunction. But guess what? I thrive and I became the best person, and we all applaud these people. So when you come with all this science stuff, I'm like, I'm trying to rock with you, but I can't do it because I don't know science. All I know is raising my kids,
let me try to
flawed
make it
or not
simple.
flawed.
And I'll give you my own personal story on this. And I know Spicoli wants to say something, but so I'll give him the floor after this. But
He wants to talk about his recent whore. Go ahead, I'm listening to you.
I'm a carrier, and I listen to my mom is of the schizotypal schizoaffective gene. That means I only have one copy of this gene, right? And there is a roughly, on average, a 50% chance that if I copulate with someone else who has it and doesn't know it, we will have a schizophrenic child. That means they're full-blown hearing voices. This is schizophrenia is like the as bad
That
as it
sounds
gets in
pretty
terms of
cool, though.
psychosis.
That's a possibility in my book too.
But would you run a test prior, Melanie? Would you run a test prior to you knowing that?
That's the thing. If I could afford these tests, then sure, maybe I can get past that. But
how expensive are these tests that you can't do it with insurance? Stop it. Every test is not $1 billion. Like, stop it.
I mean, in
You're
some
in
cultures,
Canada too. Like,
that's not covered by our healthcare to get a test for that sort of thing.
See, in some cultures, they actually elevate schizophrenics to the highest levels of like the churches.
Actually,
I would not want to live there.
Is the test $10,000?
I got to debunk that. That's misinformation. So, Steelman, the problem with that is that it actually turns out it's the schizotypals and schizoaffectives who are like that. People with schizophrenia were almost too far gone to really provide much for their communities. And Robert Sapolsky talks about this. The schizoaffective gene was the beneficial mutation, and the fact that it could double up was what made the disease.
Melanie, is the test $10,000? Because my thing is, I'm gonna say one key thing. When you want something, let me say this. When you want something, you plan for it. House, vehicle. So if you're saying, oh, I don't know if I can afford it, if this is a true concern and you find a partner, not any random person, once you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I want to lock it down and this is how I want to be with, you know this in advance. This is not, you're not blindsided. It's actually a benefit that you know this. So guess what you should be doing? If this is a true concern and this is how you want to move forward because you would like to have a kid, you start planning in advance so the money is there. And you address this concern with your partner, and then you can pay for it. It's not like, oh, I like this person and I don't. Excuse me?
That's just easier said than done. Like, you're talking.
No, it's not. But what I'm saying is you're planning in advance. Because if you had a partner right now, obviously it wouldn't mean anything. It's like anything. Like, would I like to do certain things with the house and all that? You don't have 10,000 event. But if you know what you want to do, because you're saying you would like to have a kid, but that means you have a plan, which means you can now start planning every so often, putting aside money, even if you don't have all of it, because you might have a partner that says, you know what? I would love to have a kid with you too, and I'm concerned about that, and I have the other half. But it's different if you're just saying, I would want to do this thing and you haven't had a plan.
Hi, Sarah. I have a question. Bad Gemini, how is Mel going to get pregnant and carry a baby to term 9 months? Can you explain how
I don't
Mel...
think anybody was going down that route.
We're not going that. We're just saying you testing the parent.
Parental planning.
I don't think Mel can get pregnant. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Mel can get pregnant.
Spicoli, that's
You're making this. Don't do that, Spicoli. You're going
nobody, literally, nobody on the panel was going there.
No, I'm just saying Mel is her.
It wasn't the point of the conversation, Spicoli.
But why are you trying to encourage people? Why are you trying to encourage people to have kids who don't want kids?
Swear to God.
No, this person is saying they would like a kid, but
stop. Neo, you are exiting the panel. Would you like to give your final thoughts?
Yeah. Hi, Neo.
Not you, Spicoli. Neo.
Spicoli.
Hi, Flo.
I just want to say, hey, man, look, live and let live. Do whatever you want to do in life, whatever makes you happy. If there is something that you have difficulty doing, you can plan for it. Planning for things is quite possible. You know, always saying that you're going to willy-nilly things doesn't always work. That's like trying to drive cross country without looking at your gas meter. You're going to run out of gas before you get to your destination. So to a certain extent, planning, you know, does play a factor in these things. All I'm going to say is have fun, everybody. I got to go take a shower. Sarah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Neo.
See you, Neo. All that good stuff. This is great content. Make sure that y'all all give Sarah another super chat. And if you want to follow me, Neo Starling on the internet. Deuces.
Bye,
right on, man.
Hell yeah.
Bye, Neo.
Trib one coming up with a big 2 says plan. It really rarely goes as planned, but always planned. And what I want to add into this too is, like, you can save up to put a down payment on the house, and you can investigate, inspect, you can look for the best house on the block, so on and so forth. But nothing's going to stop that hurricane, that thunderstorm, that random fire, that random flood, the random whatever acts of God and other things. Right. Like all of these different things that could come in and affect that home that you planned and you went through all of this thought process for, and blah, 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 blah. Like, you can plan all fucking day and then God laughs at you, literally laughs at you and says, ha, good luck with that. You know, I mean, everything and anything could go wrong, but everything and anything could also go perfectly fine. And you'll never know until you try.
So, Mel, why don't you go out and try to You would go out and baby make, Mel. Practice baby making.
Is this fly gone yet? So again, you're talking about things just being kind of like we're past it. It's not
You
like
and your
it's
husband
like a random
practice
black
baby
man like that.
making, Mel.
Holy
Hey,
fuck,
if you want to
anyone
be
have a
like
fly
that, every
cutter?
kind of
One
sex
of
that
you's
Mel
got, like,
has
this
is practice.
loud ass fly in your
Oh
mic.
yeah,
Not me. I've
touche.
already
Sorry.
Mel, practice now, so when you get the Neo vajayjay,
Sarah,
you'll
I
have it
love
down
you.
pat.
I'm disappearing.
Well, Sarah, I think you're right. You know,
Bad Gemini, you're exiting. Do you want to give your final thoughts?
Yeah.
Look, first off, you're in good hands with Flow State, because I like that somebody who's actually single parenting as a father is the most quiet, because that means he understands that 80% of what he's hearing is preposterous, right? Like, so that's why he's like, do I invest time in this? Like, I'm living this in real time. Like, do I entertain the real life aspect of this or the internet aspect of this? So he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna shut up because I got kids to take care of. Let's start there. Secondly, Sarah, same situation. You know your situation as a parent. You're like, you've lived it, divorced, single. Like, you're like, look, I like this banter from Melanie. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna let that be. Spicoli, you came in late in the situation, but I always love Spicoli because he's the definition of a man that if you could be a bisexual, that's him. He buys all the sexuals he can. He pays for all the sex. So he's, you know, one of the top rated bisexuals out here. He pays for it a lot. The Steel Man, I love him. Like, if they were, look, when the House of Dragon, when I was very, very sad when you know, even though it had a terrible ending, when they had Game of Thrones, it ended cool. But when I look at the Steel Man, I understand they had room for him in the House of Dragon. So if you just throw on some armor on him, give him a sword and some little janky helmet, he's perfect for extra. So I look forward to seeing you in the next season of that. Why so serious? Hey, you've always been the guy. I have nothing to say about you. You're the same avatar. And I'm actually concerned because you look like 80% of your avatar, but still women like you, which means they have a bad decision, bad picker. But then I think they like your voice, so that's enough. But then I don't want to get into all of that. Just go see a psychiatrist.
Bad Gemini, Bad Gemini, I have a question. What would you say? What would you say to Nova, Bad Gemini, if she was here right now? What would you say to her?
I would say Nova, she shouldn't be on top of any guy because she may get involuntary manslaughter for suffocating him for resting on her on that guy. So that's what I would say to that. So like Nova, you should never be on top. It's gonna be involuntary manslaughter. You're gonna suffocate some poor guy to death unintentionally.
Well, I think anybody that sits on your Bad Gemini, anybody that sits on your BBC is going to get impaled anyway, probably, correct?
Hey, allegedly. I don't know what I have. I'm just a guy. I'm just a jag, just a guy. But anyway, so what they're saying, Sarah,
Ladies,
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I have a great show. I'm not saying anything because you know what I'm saying? I'm saying my wife knows I'm not a fool and she and I know I'm not a fool. So baby, I know you sleep, but I'm going to talk to you like you're awake. We're not talking about all that. Anyway, so hey,
all right, man. Good to see you, dude.
Y'all have a good time.
Thank you, Bad Gemini.
Thanks for popping on.
That's one well-hung man.
Weird.
Oh my god, I tried to get my cat purring into the mic, but all I found out is that its breath stinks. And not like cat food.
I gave my dogs a bath today. They're pretty good at it.
Your cats?
Bella, you snoring?
Dogs, my dogs.
Weirdly enough, Dexter lets me give him a bath once in a while. He's a large cat, and I thought he was gonna fuck my hands up.
Bath.
Brush their teeth.
Like, I'll stick him in the bathtub. Then he's cool. He'll just stand in the water.
Are your cats like old and they don't groom themselves or something?
No, just once in a blue moon, you know, throw him a bath.
Just feel like torturing a cat.
Yeah, that's usually it.
We have
like Naomi said, Tricky washes his
we are
pussy.
currently 5 out of 10 on the dono goals. If we don't hit the other 5, and I don't care what amounts they come in at, if we don't hit the other 5, I'm shutting this bitch down and going to bed and calling it a day.
I'm
How much
30
time
out
on
of
that?
30 for how much I can give.
I'm gonna give you like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10
I need a
minutes.
root and toot hat.
Yeah, because it's already 1 a.m. for me. And like I'm on the East Coast, so I'm ahead of everybody else typically.
Yeah, it's 1
So,
for me too.
I don't mind going till 1, 2, 3 in the morning, but I'm not gonna
Eastern Standard Time.
I mean, it's already been almost 4 hours. I mean, I've given you my time. I've given you my time. I've done my work. Now it's your turn.
So
This is truly a viewer supported show. We don't have advertisements. We don't have sponsorship or anything like that. So, do your job. I'll do mine.
Yeah. If somebody gives you $50 right now, you put some lingerie on for the boys at home, won't you, Sarah?
No.
Not you. We don't want to see you in lingerie, Mel.
There's a 10 right there.
And Robert Demita coming in with a big 10. Says,
There it is.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you. And we are now 6 out of 10. You got 4 more to go, folks.
I don't know.
$40 away, and she'll put some lingerie on.
I have faith in you.
Real
I have
thing.
lingerie on, but I also have clothes over top of that. So
Well, you take the clothes off.
Use your
The clothes
imagination.
come off.
No, Spicoli.
What if you
know
get
what?
some
I'll tell
money?
you what, Spicoli.
Sexual harassment.
Why don't you take
Panda.
your clothes off for the panel?
That's what I was gonna say. Spicoli
No.
puts on lingerie for $50.
Okay, I am switching out of this
I'll
tab
put
so I don't have to
lingerie.
see this.
Why,
got
Mel?
one
You
with
wear
30
lingerie.
I'm already
Mel,
starting life. I don't need
why
more.
can't I? If I'm a dude wearing lingerie and you're doing, why can't I wear it, man? Who are you to
wrong.
tell me?
Because you're wrong.
Maybe I could share some of Mel's.
You're
But
definitely
you have men's
Lobster.
lingerie, though.
Lobster coming up with the big 2 says start the 2 train. Toot toot.
$38 more, and she takes the top off.
And Mama Tomato says no.
3 donos
Not
left.
you, Spicoli. Yeah, you got 3
For the
more
goal.
left, folks. Actually, you got 3 minutes left on that dono goal. I didn't
Hey,
realize.
3
that
minutes,
pays like $10.
$38.
Like,
We need
mute
$38.
Spicoli.
You
Mel,
just
give
need-
another
you just-
20.
You just need
Remember
3 more
$10
super
to mute
chats.
Spicoli?
You
That
guys
was
figure it
great.
out. I recognize that not everybody can give a lot, so I don't ask a lot. All I ask is that you.
I ask
hit
a lot.
hit the
I
10
ask a
out of
lot.
10. I like seeing things completed, and when a goal is not completed for a 10 out of 10, I feel like I have failed. And if I feel like I failed, I go to bed.
Come on, guys. Everybody give at least another 10 or 20. Get her over the 100 mark.
Listen, Spicoli's going to start taking his clothes off. Do you guys want to see Spicoli take his clothes off, or you just want to hit the goal and call it a day? And then we don't have to worry about watching Spicoli take his clothes off.
Mel wants to see my big, you know what?
Nipples.
Tic Tac.
Toe.
Mel wants to see. Where'd Mel go?
Toot toot. She's been having internet issues, it appears, for the night, so she'll be back. She'll be back.
My
She never.
power straight went out earlier.
Oh
Don't
goodness.
want to encourage her to have kids, please.
I feel like everybody's even my internet was lagging too when I was playing a video. Like it was like really lagging.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm in
I'm
Michigan.
wondering if it's across the board.
They said we're going to be getting
Mel,
some kind of
come
ice
back.
storms and stuff. So. There's that.
All right, Flow State, what do you think? Our stepdad's cucks and our single moms ran through. And before you speak, Robert Demita says, Spicoli, please stay clothed. Please. Thank you, Robert. All right, you got.
You can be a cuck or you can be ran through regardless of your child's status. And I think that all anybody's really ever addressing here is not the problem they pretend they're addressing. It's just their own discomfort with having to address issues, right? Like kids in bad homes or whatever. Trying to say, I mean, the fact of the matter is, you cannot tell at all based on the home who's going to turn out to be good or who's going to turn out to be bad. And so, since that's not really the thing that's being addressed, what are we addressing? I think it's just people's unwillingness or desire to not have to address uncomfortable situations in life, like the kids down the street that are not being taken care of.
That's right. Don't undress uncomfortably. That's the moral. And
Sure.
I mean,
Sarah, can I make a point?
Yeah.
I think stepdads are worse than cucks A cuck is just a dude who's watching his wife get banged by another dude, and it doesn't cost him any money. A stepdad could be paying all kinds of fucking money for another man's kid. To me, that's almost worse than a cuck. So it's worse than a cuck, I think. Being a stepdad is worse than a cuck.
He's choosing to step into that role. Why would that make him a cuck? Like, if he's choosing to be a good role model for a child and ensure a child is nourished and fed and clothed and has a good role model in their life, like, aren't they choosing to do that? Why is that a bad thing?
Because the kid has a father. He doesn't need a stepfather unless the initial father passes away and the woman's a widow. Otherwise, the kid has a father. And if he's got a father, why should I come in or anybody else come in and play stepdad when the kid already has a father? Sometimes it takes away.
So
it takes the bond away.
Would you shame the biological father for not being a father?
Yeah, I think if you have kids, you should. I think guys who are biological fathers who are not in their kids' lives should be shamed. I think we should shame those type of people. So I think they should be shamed. I think it's a shameful act. Same with mothers. We should bring back shaming. We need to bring back fat shaming too, for sure. We need to bring fat shaming back.
Do you think single women? Do you think single women who end up getting, knocked up by a man who ends up being a deadbeat dad? Do you think those single moms should be shamed for that dad's bad behavior?
Yeah, she should be shamed because she should pick better. There's lots of good guys out there. And they know women. I'll tell you why she should be shamed. Because women who, when you say she gets knocked up by a dude and he's a bad guy, we all know women like bad boys. We all know women like to be with bad boys. If she had just picked a good guy, a nice guy, he wouldn't have done that. So yeah, it's a woman's fault to a certain extent. She shouldn't be shamed.
She marries a guy. She marries a guy, and he just up and leaves sporadically. No warning, no she had no idea. He just gets up and abandons her. Did she still choose wrong?
She's not shamed. She's not shamed. He should be shamed for that. Obviously. Why would I shame a woman if a guy just walks out on her? I wouldn't, unless she was beating on the dude. Unless I knew the details was that she was beating up on the dude.
I'm giving you the hypothetical. He just gets up and leaves. He abandons her.
She shouldn't. Why would I?
How do you differentiate? Let me ask you this, Spicoli. Then, how do you differentiate? If you just find out a woman is a single mother, you haven't inquired further or anything, and you just immediately judge her because she's a single mom.
No, I wouldn't judge her. First of all, she could be a single mom because she's a widow. I would never look down on that. No, I would have to know the I just don't go around shaming somebody. I have to, in any situation, I want to know as many details as possible.
Do you date single moms at all?
Do I what? Do I date single moms? Yeah, well, don't forget, I'm an older guy. So the single moms that I would date would be women that have kids who are over 18. So at that point, what does it matter? I'm not supporting the kid, and I'm not playing stepdad. If the kid, guys, listen up. I want to make a point here, and this is a good point, Sarah, too. When we talk about single mothers, we're referring to guys who are in their 30s and 40s and stuff. When you get like my age, over 60, mid 60s guys, think of it. Even if you're going to date a woman who's 45 or 50, chances are, if she's got kids, they're going to be over 18. And what I'm saying is this: there's hope for these single guys. I want to make a point here. If a woman has kids who are over 18, then it's a whole different ball game. It's because you're not going to live with the kids more than likely. The kids are supporting themselves. So women who have kids that are adults already, then it doesn't fucking matter. Then in a way, it's good that they have kids because, and you know what? I'm going to name another thing too. There's a plus for dating single moms too. A single mom's less likely to go out and cheat on you because she's got kids. So I don't think, if you're a guy that's worried about being cheated on by a woman, I think a single mom, don't you agree, Sarah? A single mom is way, way less likely to cheat on a dude than a single woman. Don't you agree, Sarah? Because you've got kids.
So the
Number-
needle is sharper
yeah.
than your point.
And number one, we're pretty busy, right, with our children and so on and so forth. We already have bare minimal time to give. So if we are giving you time, it's very precious to us. You should probably be appreciative that we want to give you that time. But yes, I do agree. Not only that, I think that it's as a single mom dating, you're dating with way more intent than to just go and fuck around. So
even you date with you don't date with intent, Sarah.
I just don't date at all.
I'm not going to date a 45-year-old single mom.
Trippy, what are your thoughts? Give your thoughts, Trippy.
I did give my thoughts. You weren't here.
Give them again.
I don't think stepdads are cucks. Cucks are guys that watch women get plowed by other dudes.
No, they're worse than cucks, I said. They're worse than cucks.
No, I had
They're
a
not
stepdad. I had my own stepdad. He might have been a piece of shit, but he didn't do anything terrible. You know what I mean? Like to me or anything like that. He just caused a lot of arguments. He drank a lot.
Is he still in your life?
No, he
still
died
in
a
your
while
life?
He died a long time ago. He was a lot like you, actually, Spicoli. He was in his early 50s. He was all about, I'm going to get a divorce from you to my mom, right? And he's like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get some chick and I'm going to get her pregnant, even though I'm in my 50s now and I'm the man. And he totally, hid the fact he was going bald just like you, He ignored the fact that his nuts were covered in fucking liver spots and he only needed, pills to help him get it up.
And why
just
do you
like
know
you.
this?
No, but he's not like me because he married your mom and she had a kid, and I wouldn't marry I wouldn't have a stepson. So that's how he's
sure they
different.
wouldn't marry you either.
Dude, that's how he's different. I would never marry somebody with a young kid. Now, if you were over 18 and living on your own, I would marry your mom.
Spicoli, why don't you tell us about your ideal girl to date?
My ideal what?
Your ideal girl to date. The girl that you would date.
The ideal chick for me that I would date? Maybe I'm dating her now. No, an ideal girl.
He's like, no, that's
probably
not my
some
ideal.
chick who's probably 30 to 35, not over 40.
If you thought this show sucked, well, you could have been watching something like this instead.
All right, I'm gonna get low with it, Michelle. I'm gonna get low there. Oh, yeah, right there. Okay. Oh yeah.
Listen up, I got a tale to tell about a sexy tomato with a fury from hell. All the other
She's not the best looking woman, but she's very into submission. Really into it. So is the husband, which I like. He likes there to sit there and watch her get dominated.
Mr. Chaco!
Do you believe who pays for sex?
And swinger syndrome is people that think that they're
little sister, what's your Bible Chaco nowhere. Hey, little sister, who's your beautiful?
Does she look like a dude who pays for pussy? Now he fucked a chick in front of her husband. Look at that. Trippy, Trippy, would you dance with him? What a bot.